And welcome to return to our D&D stream. We need a plan. This is a 9th session we've streamed, and that will never ever be muted, ever. The first time I mute it, and then it switches, and then it's unmuted. Thank you, Teth, for the sub. But yeah, we are back. How is everyone doing? How's your Christmas breaks and all that jazz been?
All good.
All good. And the best part is, you're all in the right place. No.
Oh yeah. Far too much eating, far too much drinking for far too long, but
well,
all good.
And cheers to that.
Absolutely.
And it's my birthday, as those of you who watch and these players know. But I'd rather spend the time with these guys getting back into D&D than go out drinking, because drinking is for people who are not this addicted to tabletop games. But I will be drinking champagne.
You can do it here instead.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, you're all doing well. I mean, we've already talked, but for the purposes of anyone else watching, you're all doing well.
Very well, thank you, Ian. Very well.
Your beard is looking magnificent. Everyone's looking magnificent, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, we've got a bit
just
of
my beard.
Just your beard. Everything else horrible, but the beard.
It's cool. Everyone's gonna slowly see it growing over all of these episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Just like our friendship.
Yep.
Oh, bless.
That's that's disgusting. Just the amount of nausea from that. But no, I mean, we got a bit of a recap, I guess, to do for our own purposes as much as anyone else's, because it's been 3 weeks. I want to say 4 weeks, 3 weeks. It was possibly 4. It was around the 12th, maybe a little bit later. So it's been 3 or 4 weeks since we've last played. We haven't done any playing off stream. There's obviously been a bit of offline discussion, but largely it has been us not playing, and craving the ability to play D&D. So I guess I'm going to run a quick recap, and again, players remind me of all the things I will forget. So I guess I'm going to rewind a little bit. I'm just going to go backtrack a bit to around the time when the party was at its lowest point so far, where 2 party members had been killed by vampires. Vampire spawn that carried away Riktor's body into the night and savagely tore apart Trundle. The remaining party members regrouped at the Church of St. Andrew, and tried to figure out what to do. They had a little bit of respite in returning the bones of St. Andrew to the church, which kind of released a protective aura over the area and kind of protected the individuals who were there as well as themselves from invasion from evil forces, effectively. They took their time, tried to figure out, had some doubts, but eventually agreed to go wolf hunting, excuse me, with the 2 individuals at the Blue Water Inn, Yevgeny and Soldar. After paying them beforehand, they intended to go on this hunt, however were waylaid by the actions of our Hegenasi rogue, who decided to, instead of just investigating the home or the house, the Coffin Maker's house, where they had a fight with deadly vampires the night before, decided to reveal to the town guard that she had been bitten by vampires, which again kind of is a bit of a crisis moment. Led to the entire remaining party members getting arrested, taken to the Burgermeister Vargas Vallakovich, who was militantly intent on people being happy. He didn't reprimand Zadie so much because Zadie was militantly happy, or at least religiously zealotly happy. But unfortunately, punishment befell Rhea, who had been bitten by vampires and was revealing this information to people, and Guzza, who was effectively not militantly happy. However, Guzza decided to also stand by his friend and take the same punishment as Rhea, and both of them got put in the stocks for a day, whilst Rhea and Arena went and bought a few things and honestly just watched them in the stocks to make sure nothing too bad happened. Well, nothing too bad happened.
Protective detail.
Exactly, protective detail from a distance. Yeah, exactly. And the day went on. They got out of the stocks eventually as night fell, and went back to the church and rested up there again. I think for the second night in a row. Again, not using the inn that they'd paid for with comfy beds and all that stuff. However, the next day came out. Then they managed to go wolf hunting with Yevgeny and Soldar, heading into the woods, sort of to the west of town, kind of northwest of town, somewhere between these locations that they now know as Lake Zarevich, the large lake to the north of Vallaki, kind of stretching east and west, and the smaller Lake Baratok to the west, with apparently, according to Soldar, an old wizard's tower that no one really went to, and most of his location-based guidance was, if you want to see it, look at it from a distance. There's probably there's a reason you shouldn't go there. To pretty much all of the places I'm about to list off, or the places that were listed off. They were given some information about several landmarks, some of which had inklings of information, pockets of information that kind of rung true or rung memories of the prophecy that they were sort of the card reading that they were given from Madame Eva. On this wolf hunt, they came across some wolves. Stepping forward, decided to try and take on the wolves. Unfortunately, Yevgeny got torn to shreds before even the werewolves arrived, as two werewolves eventually sort of stepped in, charged down the party. However, thanks to the ridiculous scythe wielding of Gaza, were made relatively short work of. Everyone else put in good work, but that was insane. But the two biggest important moments of that fight, I would say, beyond those killer blows, were the resurrection of Trundle, having digging himself out of the ground beneath them. He sort of flipped out in his his hybrid state, and sort of tore into some of the werewolves, but found himself lacking a mouth, but able to communicate with people telepathically within a limited range. The other individual who appeared, besides Yevgeny dying, was an individual who eventually revealed himself to be by the name of Rain. Now, Rain appeared to be a half-elf. I believe it's a half-elf of local descent, from a nearby town or village called Kresik, to the west of where they met. After again making short work of the werewolves, the party headed back to town after burying the wolves and taking any trophies and any meat and everything that were part of the hunt, effectively, and bringing Yevgeny back to town. He was dressed again. He was left in the church to sort of have burial rites prepared, and Soldar kind of went back to the inn to drink his sorrows away. Guzza was given Yevgeny's coat after a decent enough persuasion check, as it was his second coat, and the other one Soldar would probably cherish and care for. But that is effectively where the party left off. This Rain individual had a little bit of information to share, but didn't seem to be too forthcoming with maybe his motives or otherwise. But the last thing I think we saw after everyone slowly trickled up to bed was a doubt of faith from Zadie by her removing her necklace for the first time, and a bottle of what was it, Rain, that was placed somewhere. The last thing that happened, I think, in the entire session.
It was a bottle of,
I think it was wine,
red,
was it? No.
Yeah, red.
I believe it was wine.
I believe it was mostly Persian.
It was. Your voice is cutting in and out. I don't know if that's on my end or not.
It's probably definitely me. This headset's been on.
Fantastic. It's been all.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's been all
Okay.
full.
I think just hug your mouth with it. That's what I'd say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna stick it in my mouth though. So.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. So yeah, that's effectively where we wrapped up. A couple of days after the attack on the attack by the vampires, as the party recovered the bones of Saint Andrew, they had a night's rest in the tavern, and that again, they've had a long rest. Morning has come, and that's where we're kicking back in. So as you guys have a night's rest, again, it's a bit rough for you Zadie again for again you've had a rough time these past few days, losing your sight, losing your ability to see light, and having very few things to feel positive about. Your night's rest is perhaps a bit rougher than the rest. Everyone else tucks themselves into bed, and I believe Rain is in the 4-person room. I can't exactly remember how you divide it. It's not too important. But as you all rest up for the night, you make your way. Also, as you've rested up for the night, most likely it's Guzza and Rain probably that are the earliest to rise. And as
I'd
you
have made some bullets in like as soon as possible.
Sure. Again, it's not the quietest thing, but thankfully you have the materials all there. You're able to prepare. I believe it. What was what we
What did we
agreed
agree
upon?
on? It was
This
yeah.
is
I
zero.
don't
We'll have to
remember.
recover.
Was it 5? Was it 5 or 10? I don't remember.
I think it was 5. Five you could prepare over as part of a long rest.
Hold on, I have it down there somewhere. Let me think.
But you can always check it.
Yeah, I know it's 10 per long rest. We
10
agreed
per
on.
long rest. Okay.
I think I think it was higher. It was like 20 maybe, but we settled for 10. For the
Yeah, it
rest.
seemed a bit extreme in a maybe a low gun world, but yeah, 10 sounds about right. So 5 or 10. So we'll go with 10.
Okay, I'll
And
do.
yeah, you're able to prepare the 10 normal bullets as agreed. Different ones might take checks or
I was gonna
fewer.
ask how long would the other ones take? Because I don't think so.
We'll cover it another time. You still have
Yeah,
some stockpiled, I know, but yeah, you're able to prepare some bullets over the rest, and yeah, you guys are the first to rise to a rather plain morning. The weather is, it looks overcast, but it always looks overcast. It looks a little bit like it could be the skies could be ready to open at any time, but otherwise at this point you're all sort of trickle down into the tavern's main area, where you see the bartender Owen and a small number of patrons at this point. You do see the same guy you've seen there several times in a row, and I'll move you over to the map for your own visual perspective. You do see the same guy who has been sitting there on and off for the past couple of days, who, as pointed out to all of you, has pointed ears, but has otherwise kept himself to himself. And you see a few commoners in there, a few folk that just seem to be going about their business, having a morning drink before or after work, wherever that may be. But Owen sees you sort of trickle down. I'll say for ease of purpose, you all make your way downstairs and find yourself in the central tavern sort of area, dwelling on the things that have happened recently. Trundle, I will ask quickly, are you doing anything about your mouth? Or lack of,
yeah.
henceforth lack thereof?
I was thinking.
Curious.
I mean, going from the little picture that I have of myself, it looks like I have a sort of like a scarf-looking thing. I could just sort of pull that up a little bit.
Sure. I think that's that's totally fair. I am on board with that, and you're able to pull it up. And unlike Zadie's predicament, where these kind of voids are left and there's kind of scars running down her cheeks, which are hard to cover up without sort of obscuring the rest of her face.
A lot of foundation.
For you, it's actually quite easy. There is a smooth kind of there is a smooth, almost like, I don't know what you'd call it. Just there's nothing there. It's just skin. So you're able to quite easily pull something up, and to most people it would look, without knowing that you're lacking a mouth, when you communicate telepathically, it can kind of appear like it's just coming from you. And
they might think I have just a very long lip that just keeps going down, and my jaw is all the way down here.
Sure. But if it's exposed, they might struggle to fall for that one. But you're able to cover it up without any great issue. But you find yourselves bringing yourselves down to the central tavern area, and again with Arena in tow, and a new member with you all. I do throw it straight back to you guys and ask you what would you like to do as you sit there, getting in a breakfast of wolf steaks, which are cooked. I cooked and cost you, I believe it's 1 silver a piece. I could be slightly underestimating that, but don't really care too much. So what would you like to do as you sit around contemplating what's next?
I would like to head outside and go check at the spot where I left the wine.
Sure. So you head outside again. You and perhaps Guzzer are the first two to rise, and you see Rain sort of as he comes down the stairs before, because you have to come down the outside stairs to get into the tavern. You see him sort of pause for a moment, and he makes his way to the side of this shed, and Rain, you find the bottle. The bottle is gone. In its place, there's just a small weaving of twigs and almost string. It's not string, it seems to be just bits of grass and whatnot that are sort of bundled into what looks like a nest, within which you find two kind of twisted and very much dead small birds. They look like they were young birds, not even able yet to fly. Kind of feathers a little bit tufty and not solid across their bodies. They lie there lifeless, kind of veins bulging near their eyes, as they clearly hadn't fully developed, but just lying in this nest. Just tucked in neatly in the wooden kind of split where you were able to leave the bottle.
There's no one immediately around, is there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, again.
If I can quickly interject.
Mm-hmm.
All I was going to say is that when I noticed that Rain wasn't walking through the front door of this establishment, I probably would have asked him quickly. Field's this way, buddy. Where you go?
One moment. I just need to get a breath of fresh air. Yesterday was quite an experience.
All right. Okay. Just fine.
Sure. Yeah, and you head in. You see him kind of linger there for a moment, but he kind of waits there, kind of staring off into an opposite direction until you step inside, and then Rain, you go about your business, seeing this little this nest next to the hut.
I take it with me.
Okay, you take it with you. Again, it's quite precious in a way. It's quite fragile, and
I will set aside like a separate bag for it and just sort of like place it inside the wooden chest I have with me, which has all my other things.
Sure. So you just take it. Again, it's pretty small. It is able to be held in one hand, and you take it, gently place it in the box, and kind of cover it with a cloth briefly. And it keeps it well enough in check. It doesn't. You don't think unless this box was to be shaken aggressively that anything bad would happen. And you make your way inside again, getting a breakfast of meats and eggs and whatnot. Very very simplistic stuff. There's not a wide variety of choice in food here, but you all make your way down over time. And again, what would you like to do?
So make your way. I'm going to assume everyone's down here.
Yeah. I'd say
down here by this point.
Yeah, I'd say again, none of you are particularly late risers. You all cram yourselves around one of the larger circular tables in the tavern, where there are quite literally 6 seats stacked around the edges of the table, and you're kind of elbow to elbow, but it's cozy in a way, and the kind of warm light in here doesn't really betray the kind of gloomy darkness that's outside, or the gloomy not light that's outside.
Tucking into some steak. Sorry, Sophie, looked like you were about to say something.
No, I was just gonna say, as we're tucking into delicious wolf steak, I'm just gonna look around and say, so has anyone got any plans for today? More wolves? I can always go for more wolves. Werewolves. Dire wolves. Any kind.
Given Frandal's return, we should be heading to find Riktor.
That would make sense. If I made it back, then surely he must.
Who is this Riktor you speak of?
Are you back? I thought you were outside.
Yeah, no, you're all
I picked it up and came back. I was assuming we're all back at the table.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
my brain was skipping that.
Okay.
He was a good friend of ours. Close friend of mine, too. He helped me out a few times.
That's
You
a
lost him.
window, though.
Aren't we all?
We lost him when we lost this one. Point to them. My knife at Trundle. And just hold it there longer than probably would seem necessary.
Yes, I must admit it was rather strange almost to see him crawl out of. Well, less said of that, the better, maybe.
Quite.
Yes. And he did used to have a mouth, I promise. That's a new thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't in this place. It's quite, well, let's just say, Barovia has always been quite an interesting place.
Has it really always been like this?
From what I've been told, no. At least, when I was younger, I was told that there was perhaps a reason that I sort of just briefly stopped, hush my voice a little to make sure like no one's like listening. The reason Strahd sort of appeared and brought his ill will upon this place. It never used to be like this. I wouldn't know, however. It was before my time. Before a lot, I imagine.
How you supposing we find them, dear Riktor, they're stating?
Well, I guess we start by looking where he last was and go from there.
Didn't work out too well last time.
Well, no offense, but we could do it without telling everyone what we're doing.
True.
I think that would be wise.
You know, Sora be talking about some hills north of Krezk, I believe. I'll look at Rain. I believe that's where you reside.
Yeah.
I think Sora talked.
Yeah, the Abbey of Saint Markovia in Krezk. Know of it well, atop a hill. It's quite a strange place, and the man inside rarely ever leaves, but he does, and we have a shrine there as well, just outside, a place of rest almost. But would be an interesting visit, I'm sure. Although they're quite a shut-in community, I'd be surprised if we'd be allowed in so freely.
We ain't gotta go in there, we just gotta go north of it.
It's
The
always a
hills to the north of
possibility.
it. So you know, Chris. Sorry.
Mr. DM. The Abbey is inside the the hills are inside the castle, inside the wall, aren't they?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I thought so. Just wanted to be sure before.
So effectively for your reference, and the other players, you don't know this, but it can be explained out if Rain so chooses. The village is walled on almost four sides. It's not fully walled on four sides because there is a steep, and I mean very steep incline. Not quite cliff levels, but not far off it either. To the east side of town, or east side of the village, excuse me, the walls end, and there is a single winding path that leads from the town, sort of along, this steep thing as a single ramp, kind of going up and up and up, to the walls of this abbey. Beyond that, there's again, it's a few hundred feet up. The town itself, the village. I will say town. Sorry, the village itself is already raised a good. It's in Barovian terms, it's already maybe it's relatively high. It's maybe a couple of hundred feet higher than the center of the whole place, maybe where you are right now in Vallaki. But the actual abbey itself is another 400 feet up, up this very steep thing on a plateau that extends beyond the abbey, but it is so steep on all the sides that it is effectively impassable on foot. So yeah,
I would tell them that that the abbey is on hill. The hills are within the village walls, and that it belongs to Saint Markovia. We also have a shrine just slightly north of there, around a lake. Shrine of the White Sun. The water is clean, but the wooden shrine's old and creaky. But perhaps if you're looking for a place of faith, that might be your best bet. More often than not, people look to it in times of great need.
think Isolde talked about wolves being there too. You know that?
Wolves on the outside, but that's to be expected wherever you go. Wolves basically roam the free pathways leading to and from almost every town and city. It's half the reason that the Kresik is walled off almost. Direct fear of attack and all that. I mean, we've already seen what happens when we venture out just a little too far.
Kresik, how many days walk you think it is from here?
It's about. Is it 2? I think it's 2.
Not even.
Not even. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, I think I grossly overestimated the kind of real scale of this place. Not grossly overestimated, but you know, in terms of how far you can travel as well. So realistically, you're looking at maybe 3 to 4 hours travel, depending on the routes you take. There are, from your knowledge, there are 2 routes. Like, they are more or less the same, but they diverge around a large bunch of woods. One is a more well-traveled path. The other one becomes more of a narrower footpath that leads up past or near enough to the Lake Baratok, where the tower is that, again, you've never been to but know of. The other one leads to the south, and from the knowledge that the rest of you have been informed about, is where a path tends through the woods to this old, smaller castle called Argenvost Holt. But yeah, effectively 3 to 4 hours travel.
Okay, it's about 3 to 4 hours travel. I mean, it's not that far. Chance of us encountering wolves, well, I'm unsure. I mean, I made it here perfectly fine, without a few close calls perhaps, but depends. We seem well equipped. You all seem pretty capable after that last fight. I mean, sort of just look at all of you, give you a slight nod.
Sort of turn to the others, be like, it ain't far. Maybe we go looking for. I was about to say snake. Maybe we go looking for.
He's there.
Maybe we
Where
go
is
looking
this?
for Riktor's body, and then if we still got time today, perhaps head that way.
I think we're getting lost about why we're even here. Like, we're not supposed to be here. We're supposed to be clearing out the werewolf problem of a place where we are no longer in. So, we ain't helping them, we're in the wrong place. We need to get out.
So where do you want to go?
Well, I think we need to work out what the best plan is to get out, rather than just, like, randomly pick a thing to do here.
Get out of Vallaki, you mean? Or get out of Barovia altogether?
Barovia, we're not supposed to be here. We were told to clear the werewolf problem from a town whose name I can't remember.
Daggerford?
Daggerford, and we're not there. We're not helping.
So that's how you ended up here.
We
Ah.
couldn't leave once we came through the gate.
No one
Yeah,
can
but we
leave.
also haven't tried since, and we haven't done anything to actually try.
Are you familiar
The-
with the
the-
mists?
The fog, yes, she's
Intimately.
very familiar with them. Far too fucking
Well,
familiar.
let me make this clear for all of you before we start getting any lofty ideas. Don't go near them. Don't touch them. No one has made it out through those mists, and I don't think anyone who's ever gone further than a couple of meters has ever came back. You're more than welcome to try, but let me tell you, few have ever made it more than a few steps before collapsing.
Well, there must be a way out, because there's a way in.
Well, I mean, it may seem quite daunting to some of you, but for now, perhaps head west to Kresik. But I think the answer that you're actually probably looking for is how do you escape, and that would be to, again, give it a quick look around, remove the curse from this land. But
Right, well, let's do that
That's-
then.
The curse
I'm
is
just gonna
bad.
stare at her almost as if I'm dumbfounded by like her naivety. just.
You're not the first.
I'm sorry. Do you realize what I'm saying? You know, I was drinking water. I need a drink. I'm gonna, I'm gonna stand
Get
up and I'm gonna get
me
myself a
one
wine.
Get me one as
I
well,
am,
please.
I am blown away by this. I'm
Yeah.
getting some wine.
Yeah, you see Owen there, just sort of cleaning out a sort of a foggy glass, but he is. Again, you're not far from the table. He's just there, and as you're sort of like almost chastising Zadie and saying you need a drink, you can't help but notice as you approach that there's like a small smirk on his face as he sees you and goes, "Do you want the grape mash or the red dragon crush?"
Red Dragon Crush, please. I want something of some quality. I mean,
Yeah, and he takes the glass that he's sort of cleaned out, shakes
For
it
a
out
brief-
to it. And,
for a brief moment, I share a small comfort with with a fellow Barovian.
Yeah.
Some travellers, eh?
he looks at you slightly quizzically because again, having only seen you
Yeah.
briefly, he goes, but doesn't say anything and sort of just places the drink and kind of nods and says, "This is what it is. We are a tavern. This is our business, and these people have been nice. You seem to be traveling with them at least.
I mean, they will. I just
yeah.
think they are yet to learn.
He just again, as you say that, his brow does furrow, but he does like nod kind of knowingly. I believe it's 1 silver for a glass
Alright,
of.
I slide him 2 silver
Sure.
and take another one over.
Sure, yeah, and he sort of looks at you for like, you want another? Sort of
Yes, please.
taps it and hands it over, and takes the money.
I comes over, I hand Rhea her glass.
Thank you. Listen, Zadie, I know that it would be nice if it was that easy to walk out the way we walked in, but
It ain't gonna be any easier if we do other shit instead of doing that.
what do you suggest we look for?
Well, I mean, for one, we could ask anyone for any information about it at all, which we have not done.
I don't quite like the idea of asking people around here, given they're already very pissed at the group of us, me in particular, for upsetting the status quo of things.
We can go
I don't
back
think
to
they'd like us
Barovia,
sort of
oh,
poking
ask
around,
them-
suggesting that we, try fucking around with the stuff that's here.
Well, do you guys want to stay here or something? Because I don't see how just hunting wolves in a world we don't belong in is gonna help anything.
I
You're
mean,
right. It won't.
It won't, but
But the solution to this problem is far greater than you probably anticipate, and I'm afraid that take a quick sip of my drink. That this is not something we can, or rather, you can so easily approach. Do you not think that, given the choice, most of us would like to leave?
Well, I should hope so, but if it's hard, that isn't a reason to not try. By just going and doing something else, we're not trying. I'm not saying we have to go right now and like attack a thing that we can't possibly kill, but we can work out how to do it.
well, isn't that what's well? I'm putting this out there, but isn't that what the fortune teller was telling us? She gave us all these things that she said would help us. She didn't necessarily say why they would help us, but she said they were important. That's why I wanted to go and see the Wolf Slayer, because that is explicitly what she mentioned. That was why we were looking at the behind the sun in the church.
Well, if we're gonna
Let's-
believe that, then we're doing it in the wrong order by going to see the wolves anyway. We should be hitting up some other churches and pulling suns off walls.
Well, there is a
Why
church
do we
in
need to do
Kresik.
them in order?
I don't know, but if we're believing a fortune teller, we should probably believe the order she said things in.
If you say so.
Seems like
I don't know where you draw the line on this nonsense.
Is it nonsense?
Well, we
Do you
haven't
think it's
got any
nonsense?
evidence-
If it's nonsense, then why are we bothering with it at all?
I'm
Or is it because
not.
we got nothing else to do? Nothing else that might present a solution.
If we're saying this is our only information, then I'm saying we should probably take it at face value rather than chop and change it. If we're saying it's not good information, then we should go and find other information and not waste time murdering a bunch of wolves.
I mean, we got this here fellow here. He knows more than seems to be us put together about this area. Point to Rain. He seems to be pretty adamant that We can't simply just open the gate and walk out this fog. We all know what happens there.
You're more than
I
welcome to
have
try.
at no point suggested that we do that. I'm just saying that doing things that aren't, like, pointing at that goal is a waste of time.
Well, you've seen the castle off on the hill. Far away in the distance. Why don't you go? Why don't we all go and say hello? Although I'd highly not recommend it.
We've met.
Oh, I'm sure you have. In some way, all of us have met him one way or another. But, you see...
Again, I'm not saying rush in right away, headstrong, and do it now. I'm saying we have that thing to do, and doing things that are not helping towards that are a waste of time.
I still think-
Doesn't belong here.
There's a
Going to find
level of
Riktor?
subtlety about this.
I mean, first person that be telling us the way to deal with this means is that fortune teller. Now, I'm like you. I'm always criticizing, hypothesizing about someone like that. Thing is, she's the only one that given us something. Now that their church there, which we looked through, we didn't find nothing. But as our friend here says, there's another church, maybe one with a sun behind it.
Well,
That might be
there's-
something.
We came from one. The one back in Barovia.
With
Did that
that,
have a son?
with that
in it?
fella?
Had
Yeah,
a,
it was
had
named
a
after-
vampire kid in it, but
So the church, the sort of church that you went to there was dedicated to the Morning Lord as well. There were sun motifs. There was a large sunburst above the altar. Again, you get the sense, and from what you've discussed with people previously, there are two gods that are sort of accepted here in Barovia. There is the Morning Lord and there is Mother Night. Effectively, they are a duality. That's the understanding you've got from the Morning Lord being all about daylight, sun, brightness, and Mother Night not necessarily being like evil or negative, but being the kind of yin to that yang. It is a cyclical thing, and but you haven't seen anyone who worships Mother Night that you know of. I mean, you haven't seen anyone openly worshipping Mother Night.
Would I have seen anyone or be aware of anyone actively worshipping Mother Night, or is it sort of like I would
It's-
never have come across anyone?
It's not really a negative thing. You probably would have come across people, but most people don't really. Gonna get notifications on my desktop. Most people would not be, religious in a lot of ways. Some people have turned to faith, and the easier faith, the more well-established faith, is that of the Morning Lord, because it's easier to kind of see the benefits of its aim, and the fact that it, in the case of Barovia, explicitly does kind of go exactly against. Sun is a mortal enemy of the oppressor of this land. So for a lot of people, it's a lot easier to worship the Morning Lord. But there aren't too many religious people. So those that you've seen would largely be based around the Morning Lord.
Okay.
But it wouldn't be completely alien for someone to worship Mother Night. It's just less usual.
Okay.
You think we go there instead then? We go back to the father?
back
I mean-
to Barovia?
I'm up to having a conversation, but I don't understand why we're doing anything other than looking for a way out.
Well, you
I
said
don't
you
much-
received this fortune. Maybe this. Sorry, Trundle, please. You've yet to voice your consent.
I don't much fancy leaving here without Riktor.
Yeah,
Well,
that's my
at least
point.
for
We
sure.
need to go get him, because he doesn't belong here either, and then when we're all together again, get out. And whether that takes a day, a week, a month, or a year, it doesn't matter, but every day we just decide to go off and do something else, it doesn't help.
Then it's decided. We will find him. Then we will find the next step.
How about we worry about getting out once we found him? Yeah, but what you think? We just go back to the house and see if we can pick up a trail? It's been 2 days, and it's rained since then. It won't be easy. I mean, I'm not saying we don't try, but it's a small hope, Sadie. I hope you know that.
I know that, but
If he's
It's
even
been a
alive at
couple of-
all.
well, if he's not, then we still need to find him because he needs to be laid to rest, or God, hell or forgive, fixed. But we can't just not look for it. Like, come on, would you guys just leave me at the graveyard if I'd have stayed dead?
No, but
Wait, she died?
Briefly.
Briefly.
Mhm.
it's a whole thing. Apparently, we do it a lot.
I'll
That-
gesture to her eyes, and then
I-
kind of like pull my cowl, like, is it called that? Like, just
Big
the
mid
scarf
cowl.
thing down.
Yeah.
Just a little bit down, and kind of look at him, like, with a tilted head,
Oh.
like,
Well, this is definitely unnerving. New developments and everything. I mean, you are strangers in this land, but perhaps even strangers still. However,
Sorry, go.
no, please. You know more of this than I ever could.
No, it's more that. It's not that I would feel good about leaving your body behind if you were dead, but I don't think I have to remind you that the things that they were very strong. It's only by very good luck that 3 of us got away with our lives, and another one of us came back. Would you
it's
want us all to get ourselves killed trying to retrieve your body?
It's daytime, and like, no, but I'm willing to risk mine for his.
I know how that feels. Well, I guess if she will not budge on this, I suppose I reluctantly stand on your side. I know how it can feel to lose someone important to you. I have no intention of letting someone suffer a similar fate. Just tap my weapons on my side.
Right, we all done here? Just put my knife and fork.
Yeah, Arena's just kind of been sitting quietly as this conversation's taken place, and there's in the last couple of days, again, having seen everyone experience a lot of loss, but having been there for relatively little of it, you see that her resolve is kind of recovering from the loss of her brother, the fact that Strahd sort of absconded with him, and there's a sort of a steely determination to the way she looks, and she kind of nods and says, "Yes, I think it would be. It wouldn't be." You see her mulling it over. It wouldn't be right to leave it as it was, even if this is the case. It wasn't Strahd that left with him. No, it was just one of those things. At least there is a chance he has not made his way to him, and then there is hope, I suppose.
Hey, there's still hope for your brother too.
Yeah, her head sinks as you say. Her head sinks as you say that, but she bites her lip and just nods and says, "I hope so."
Oh,
He won't give up without a fight, but I do also want you to appreciate that every day you travel with me, you are at risk as well. He has some sort of more than an idle curiosity, as she sort of just gestures towards her neck without sort of pulling it down. I appreciate everything you've done, even if things have gone the way they have. It is by no small feat that we have made it here, and if you had not been here, then I don't think I would have made it this far.
See, we've been awful. I'm gonna look at Arena and go, I'm so sorry.
She shakes her head.
I do not know what has come over us, but our first priority should have been to go and rescue him in the first place.
She puts her hand up and just says, "No, it is far too dangerous. You cannot expect to."
Like, what we've been doing hasn't been. I mean,
She like
first thing was
she's
awful. I find one person crying over missing artifacts, and I get 2 of our friends killed, and then we decide to go out for fun hunting wolves, and we get another pro man killed. Like, we need to actually do the thing that we're supposed to be doing if people are gonna die anyway.
she looks at you and says, "But if you try and approach him, it is most likely you will not die." You will be stuck here forever, and you will not be yourself. Again, just sort of like hold her neck slightly. But putting yourself up on the platter for him is very dangerous. Taking your time, looking for friends, maybe if you think there is a hope, then we will. I stand with you. We will push that hope, and maybe we will
Again,
find him.
I'm not saying to rush into it and to do things stupidly without thinking. I'm just saying that choosing to do things that have no point isn't what we should be doing.
She kind of just stays silent on this and looks to the others. I think, and she kind of lingers for a moment, looking at everyone else. I just don't wish to see everything lost. I still have hope. And your friend's disappearance, and she kind of looks at Trundle as well while she says that without mentioning him by name, is not for nothing. I saw it, I heard what happened in the church when you returned those bones, and that is a great hope to many people. That is safety, that is sanctuary. That is... I have not had sanctuary myself, even in my own home, since Strahd started to pursue this, and if no one else, you have at least given me hope, even in these dark times, where I felt lost. So, you have not been terrible. You have struggled, but if you had not struggled, you would... I don't wish to think of where you might be. I stand with you.
So, if this is the case, then where do you want to go from here? I mean, you say doing nothing isn't great, but at the same time, everything that you're doing that isn't the day-to-day which drives people mad in this place is something.
Well,
People lose themselves in this place.
We should look for Riktor. And that's what I'm worried is happening. And then everyone we talk to, and we've talked to a lot of people, we should be asking how we do this and trying to find ways to do it, and we haven't been.
But who should we ask?
The father at the church, the guy at the bar.
You think folk like that know how to deal with things like this? You think if they knew already, they would have told it?
About this place, and we haven't been asking. We went to a fortune teller, which y'all seem to believe, and we didn't ask her how to leave.
Well, a friend here seems to think that in order to leave, we need to leave this curse.
Sure.
Fortune teller been telling us that the way to lift this curse is to deal the things that she said, their cards that she showed us.
So if you believe that, I'm happy to do those things as a way to get back to where we should be, but I don't see how just like having fun shooting some wolves is gonna help with that when the last time we did that someone died.
Well,
But
you've already
that
shot
was one
some
of the-
wolves, haven't you?
That was one of the things that we were supposed to do. One of
But
the
again,
things
why
was
are
we
we
find a
doing it out
wolf's
of
lair
order?
and by a lake.
Uh,
That's what we were doing.
I will interject there slightly. I will interject ever so slightly. Zadie, you get the sense that from the way the reading was done, it was not sequential. It was not a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of thing. It wasn't a specific pattern in a cross, like it went around the outside and the final card was in the middle. But it was not necessarily a sequential thing. I will put that out there because it has been a long time and we have had a long break as well. But that being said, you can do it in that order.
If that's why you want to go hunt the wolves, then sure. If you're saying we're gonna go hunt wolves to solve this fortune so that we can eventually lift a curse to leave, then fine. But if you're going, I want to go kill some wolves because yay, then no.
No, I mean, yes, yay, but also the
Well, no, not yay,
lifting
because
the
the last
curse.
time we did it, someone died.
Yes, but we also killed 2 werewolves that would probably have killed a lot more people, and if we hadn't done that.
We don't
I know
know
it's not
that.
good.
We went into the woods. We went looking for trouble.
Yes,
For fun. For no reason.
no, they did
Someone
it.
died.
They did it. It's not just for fun. It's fun, but it's fun to do a good deed.
Wasn't a good deed.
It was bad that someone died, but we did something good by killing them. And they were going to go out there anyway, on their own. You
I get up from
remember
the
that,
table and
right?
stand outside.
Mm-hmm.
At this point,
You
Rain
can't-
sort of.
You can't retroactively make something we did good. We did it because Guzzar wanted to go kill wolves, and we did that, and someone died. We have had no aim. We're not doing what we should be doing.
Trundle will see Rain leaving, stand up and follow with him, and say to everyone, find me when you want to find Riktor. And I'll just go and stand
No,
outside.
I'm good now. I'll come with them.
Cool. As you're sort of there's like people funneling out and no one really protesting per se, but Arena kind of hovers as well, and as Trundle sort of gets up and says that, and Zadie, you said as well, she gets up and follows suit as you make your way sort of outside where you see Rain just sort of having just made his way out, and maybe 20 seconds beforehand. And you're technically you're left with Rhea and Kaza sitting across from each other with otherwise quiet tavern.
I think I'm just going to carry on finishing my steak. Actually, I don't know if I'd finished it before, or maybe there's spares on others.
Yeah.
I'm still finishing my drink, probably. Just shaking my head.
I only got halfway through mine. It's left there. If anyone wants it.
I presume that I didn't, get any or choose to take any or whatever.
Well, yeah,
I was assuming
a drink wasn't bought for you. There were 2 drinks bought, one for Rain by Rain, and the other one by Rain for Rhea. It's weird. You lust for food, but you're not hungry. You lust for drink, but you're not thirsty. This is going to take some getting used to for sure. But without having an easy way to ingest food, there's a certain want, but yet lack of desire. It's weird. It's like you do want it, but knowing like your body is telling you don't need it. And please, if you do want to try and eat food, good luck. Please do try. No. I'd love to hear you describing shoving shit up your nose to try and like consume something, or doing like an eyeball pull or something, with wine. The 2 of you finish your drink and food respectively, as the rest of you make your way outside, and again, like lingering there, looking up, you can feel the static in the air, like there's possibly a storm brewing. The clouds aren't much darker than usual, but you get that kind of that enveloping sense of air, almost air pressure, that kind of often comes before a storm. You finish up your food inside, but those of you outside, are you doing anything?
Let's head to where we last
Have a
left it.
big breath of fresh air, and as you'll venture forward, I'm just going to look around knowingly, and then follow after them.
Well, I don't know if are you going anywhere? Is anyone going anywhere?
Yeah, let's go back to where we last saw Riktor and then go find him.
As you wish.
Without the other 2 coming, or because they are.
They'll catch up.
So the 3 of you, and Arena. Arena does actually sort of at that point kind of linger. It's just I will wait for the others. I'll tell them where you are. I'm sure they'll figure it out, but. And she just kind of shrugs.
Do you want to wait, Trundle?
No.
Yeah.
So the 3 of you head off as Arena just darts back inside, sort of lingering there, and comes back over the table and says, "They're going to the coffin maker's house. I'll wait with you." And she sort of just sits herself back down at the table, and you see her kind of looking at the table. She spots the half-drunk drink from Rain, and after a bit of deliberation, just grabs it and starts drinking it. The three of you make your way through town. Again, this is kind of central town, and the Coffin Maker's house is to the southeast-ish of town. It's quite a long town, not necessarily that high or that broad, but it takes maybe 10 or so minutes for you to venture at a normal pace across to where the Coffin Maker's house is. Now, it's been a couple of days, and although there are guards throughout town, as before there wasn't a huge dispatch of guards in the vicinity. There were a few extra, it seemed, lurking in the vicinity, and several that were near enough to respond to your previous altercation with the guards. In this case, there don't appear to be any patrolling guards in the sort of stockyard area. There are a couple nearby, and you can see off in the distance, a couple of 100 feet south on the wall, there is one guard kind of patrolling. Doesn't seem to be focused in your direction, but seems to be looking out mostly across the woods to the south. But in terms of actual guards in the local vicinity, there aren't many. You do see a couple of people in the stockyard unloading wagons. It seems that whatever's on them, they're unloading barrels or crates. Not large things per se, not grand scale things, but enough to resupply shops and stock places. And the Coffin Maker's house sits there unscathed, or seemingly unscathed, bar for the front door, which when last you went was busted down, a door has now been reinstated. It definitely looks slightly out of place because it is a fresh door, and there are still signs of the kind of the door frame where the lock was effectively kicked in. The wood is kind of splintered and busted there, but the door in the frame, although not particularly snug, there is effectively a new door. Like I said, there are no guards in the nearby vicinity though.
I'll try not to kick this door down.
Trust me, I want to talk to that Coffin Maker quite a lot, but maybe we do that after we've looked elsewhere, because I feel like that could end.
This is where your friend perished?
Yeah, the attic was full of vampires, it turns out.
Oh. Well, that's new.
And actually,
Never,
sorry, go for it.
never came across that before.
It was a surprise to us, too.
I didn't realize even Barovians had stepped so far as to even collude with vampires.
Well, so we never got the full story because a bunch of us died and then we ran away. But the Coffin Maker had stolen an artifact from the church, which is keeping the church safe, and hiding a bunch of vampires in his house, although he said he was stealing it for someone else. So
There really is no end to their treachery.
it definitely was not cool. But yeah, we don't know why, because we can talk to him. What with the vampires?
Vampires, yeah.
Yeah.
Alright.
So
And I will say, Trundle.
walking.
Trundle, for you being back here, it's weird. It's
Super weird.
Yeah, it's more than just kind of a visual reminder of the kind of... It's daytime, again, it's not overly light, but it's much lighter than it was at night when everything unfolded. But for you, it's like there's a pressure just at the back of your head. Not like a physical pressure, not like a pain, just a looming sense of foreboding just being here. Almost deja vu, because your memory of the night is relatively hazy. You remember going into the house, you remember fighting, you remember hurting to some extent, but you don't recall your former final moments. You just recall being in this area, and it's somewhere between like a pressure in the back of your head and a chill down your spine, just looming over you, like something is almost watching over your shoulder, like death is watching. But the feeling lingers for a while and then passes. But it's there's still just something that doesn't quite feel right. Not for any mechanical purposes, just from
Yeah.
the pure situation.
That's because I literally am in the place I fucking died.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't like to stay here much longer than I have to. So we should probably be best working fast. I don't recall too much of the proceedings of the night, especially anything quite that happened to Riktor. So someone else might have to lead the way.
Yeah, so I'll point to where we saw him carried away and be like, so he was carried away over there, and then the bird people turned up, and then we ran away.
I'm not there. Fucking hell.
Well, I was
You didn't mention it at the fucking table.
I was going to just pull over to you guys. Are you taking long finishing your food up, finishing your drinks? Because again, Arena's ready to move when you are.
Yeah. Just while Guz is finishing his steak, because I'll sort of pace myself to try and sort of finish at the same time. So I just to say to him, so, well, you got anything to say about that?
Finishing a mouthful. I'm now resting my knife and fork and getting up from the table. I'd be like, I got words, but they ain't for you. No, I don't mean no offense by that. I think it's best we go and join our compatriots. Also, bird people.
What? Yeah. Are you actually mentioning that now?
No.
No, not yet.
Sure.
Because I don't think I'd been thinking about it.
Yeah, there's not much context for you to go, oh, by the way, this happened, yeah. Being that it's been a little while. So you guys get up and make your way. Arena's sort of just, she seems more, while she's been gloomy the last couple of days, and there's still definitely that kind of lurking feeling of not being as happy as she was, or maybe not as happy as she was, but not being particularly happy. There's a definite determination in her. She sort of gets up first, or as soon as you're getting up, because she gets up as well, ready to move as well. And you make your way and catch up with the others shortly after they've kind of got to this point in the conversation. Again, I'll say right after bird people are mentioned. Right after. But continue, carry on, please do. As you guys are sort of arriving, trickling in the next minute or so. Zadie, sorry, you were mid-sentence.
So I'll just point to the way we saw him get carried and be like, alright, so that's the starting point.
Yeah. And again, for reference, I'll move you to the Vallaki town map. So you are all effectively where that purpley marker is. It's the very southeast of town. I'll do a little move onto a thingy map here. Bear with me. It's been a little while since I've navigated the treacherous waters of D&D streaming. There we go. You guys are right over here, and that is the orange building there to the west side of that little stockyard. Is the coffin maker's house. Now to the northeast, kind of east-ish, where this pathway is to the east, off a narrow route off the stockyard, is roughly the direction you saw this vampire creature carrying Riktor's sort of, I wouldn't quite say deformed, but shrunken, drained body. He was frail and gaunt, as if all the life had been sucked out of him. But that was the direction you saw the figure running off to in the middle of the night. Unfortunately, the contingency of guards that moved in to investigate, pretty much after you guys had left, were coming from the south. There were a couple from the wall. They seemed to have congregated and started moving up that direction, and didn't seem to be in the line of intercepting the figure. But that's the direction you saw him run off in, and this is around the time that the party reconvenes, not far from the coffin maker's front door.
Okay, so it's just a theory, but I'd like to think that maybe only one person in a town would be cool with having a vampire in their house. Means that I'm thinking it probably took him out of the town.
Do you think the coffin maker's even still there? You could be worth speaking to him.
I do not think he is going to react well to that. But I would like to, but I just think that could end up with us getting arrested again.
Not
what?
since I kicked his door and broke in.
What was the quote? You can't be held hostage in your own home.
So, technically, it's not a kidnapping as long as he's still in his house.
That's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
Counts.
But you were just holding him hostage. That's it. Yeah.
So, yeah. It's a
Just-
very, very fine line.
yeah. The legal sort of grey area comes in. I don't
Yeah,
think it's much
sure.
of a grey
It's
area.
not a legal crime.
No, it's really not. but you seem
We're
to have,
holding him hostage.
you seem to have not been punished for that.
animated discussion about.
I would maybe accept
legal
your
activities.
I would maybe accept
Yeah, that's
your
why I don't want to go
your
from
luck.
the bear.
But no. You guys are sort of standing out there. Again, the door has been replaced. All of the windows that were shuttered and boarded are still shuttered and boarded because none of them were broken or anything during the night before. There was the one window on the far side, but you actually opened that. It had to be sort of, unbolted, lifted open, and then the shutters swung open as well. It was these are not quite reinforced windows, but especially the upstairs ones are sort of not designed for being easily opened and closed. So you stand there outside
And
as day rolls on.
Are there any tracks around or anything of that nature, or am I just sort of like? I mean, Zadie sort of pointed in that general direction, but
it's been a little
is there any,
while.
like,
It's been a couple of days. Things have happened. However, I will say, if you want to, you can go ahead and make. It'll either be. I'll say these will be 2 survival checks. So one,
Okay.
like two from different people. One from each person. At disadvantage.
all right, I'll give one.
How are
I'm
you
all
feeling about
that's
survival
bad.
check?
I'm all for it.
That is as
That's a
bad as it
1.
gets.
Oh, one.
That
I mean, it's a 5. It can get worse. So if anyone else wants to make,
I'll
to
go
make
for
the
one.
check.
Let's see how it
And
goes.
well,
Okay.
interestingly, you are due to your nature, and I need to remember one of your abilities.
Mine.
Yes.
Yes.
So-
Advantage on smelling and hearing. So, kind of.
Oh.
I'm gonna be really fucking generous and say that you can have
Nah.
you can have a flat roll, as in it is disadvantage.
Maybe I can smell
count-
them somehow.
Yeah, well, you have disadvantage counted out by the advantage that you would gain
Alright.
from one of your features. So
That's incredibly kind of
you
you.
can make a flat roll. I mean,
Alright.
it's a niche feature anyway, so I think it's fair enough.
Survival. Nice.
Yeah.
Not a clue.
Wow.
Jail's going cold,
I think
boys.
I think rather appropriately, Rain, is you were not there in the night. You
I
have
don't know what I'm
no
looking for.
context of where to look. You know that you've been informed that someone ran over there, and you can kind of see where the door was busted a little bit. There are kind of tracks around the house, but they just seem to kind of they are faint tracks. They seem to lead to the back door. Between those 2 areas, they don't seem to like have any distinctive features. And because of the rainfall and the fact that this is more well trodden mud in this stockyard, there's no easy trail to follow. But I will say, as you are all lurking around the house, and you have at least a couple of members of the party who are highly perceptive, or more highly perceptive, you can see through some of the shutters in the coffin maker's shop that there does appear to be some faint light through some of the shutters. There does appear to be light in one of the downstairs rooms. It's not like you can see in, you can just see light kind of hitting the very bottom of the windowsill as it's kind of gloomy outside. That's what you can see, is that there is light inside. But that's not even from the survival check. Unfortunately, 7 and 5 is pretty poor. So you spend some time looking around, again, the people unloading their crates seem to be done or are finishing up as you guys are looking around, and and another cart sort of wheels out slowly with a couple of goods on it, but seems to just be, it's more of a small cart. You imagine probably porting to a different part of town rather than to a different town or village. But you look around, you spend 5-10 minutes or so scanning the house, to no avail.
I'm afraid I can't find anything. I do see a set of footprints circling the house, but they seem to have been well trodden. Perhaps someone walked around in the circle for an undetermined period of time.
And did badly. It's amazing you've done badly on 2 survival checks with 2 different characters at the same house. It's the Heffalump part 2. Like you're like these weird gnarled footprints.
The same thing.
Some demon was here. It's a tiefling. It has a tail.
They've gone round in a circle twice. It's incredible. They keep going. Where could it be?
We're just behind it.
Yeah, someone's joined them.
Quickly, keep following.
It's literally
Several days prior, Riktor's doing the same thing.
It's out of character deja vu. This is a first.
Yeah. I feel like I've been here before.
But yeah, so carry on.
Another life.
Carry on.
Maybe if we head outside the walls, it'll be a bit muddier and we'll be able to spot footprints better.
It's true. There'll probably be less footprints as well. So
And
the
if
ones
there's
we pick
nothing
up.
there, we can head back and talk to the coffin maker and then run away without getting arrested or.
Do we know perhaps what may have become of my body?
You know,
Why
Well,
I was taken?
Your body.
you're here.
Is
I mean, nothing happened to mine. I just came back in it with no eyes, so I assume you did the same thing.
that what the bandage is for?
Oh yeah,
I
do you want
don't
to see?
think I ever. Sure.
You can't.
Let's see. I'm just,
Ha.
just gonna...
I'll take the bandage off and like show him. They were real pretty and green before.
I'm sure they were.
It's pretty horrifying. There is a reason this gives Zadie disadvantage on all charisma or persuasion checks, I think it is. It is a pretty horrifying sight. Where her eyes would have once been, the sockets are kind of scarred and like that pale pink scar tissue that kind of runs down. There's a couple of lines that drag down to sort of her cheekbones, but where, like I said, where her eyes are, there are just hollow sockets. They almost seem to be darker than you'd expect, and it's almost like there's no back, but you can see, thanks to your dark vision, that they are indeed just sockets. But again, the way you've seen her move, the way you've seen her kind of look at you, you get the sense there's still vision kind of here, but it's weird. You don't know how to explain it. Like Zadie, you don't know how to explain it contextually, and Rain, you don't know how to interpret it. But yeah, it's pretty scary, pretty daunting.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with me, but perhaps the blindfold stays on. Wouldn't want anyone else seeing that now, would we? Not that it's a bad thing, I mean, just... You never know how some people may react around here. So, what would you like to do? I guess we're just kind of waiting here. Are the others nearby by this point?
The others have caught up with you now. Like I said,
Okay.
you are reconvened, standing outside this house collectively, especially during the survival check. You are all there now.
Unless anyone else has any other ideas, then perhaps we'll go outside the walls and have a look for tracks there, like Zadie suggested.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you.
if, put your curiosity to rest.
As you say that, you see Irina kind of, with her steely resolve, she kind of nods and says, "I would prefer not to head east myself, but if we're talking about going outside the walls to see, then she nods and says, I will come with you." And
What's east? Is that the direction we came in from?
yeah, that is the direction you came in from in the original. At the time you arrived, you've actually since left and entered through all three. Well, you've left or entered through all three main gates here. As you can see, there are a couple on the southern wall, but they are really small. They're not gates per se. They are sort of through guard towers in a way, and they are not publicly travelled. The routes that people publicly have, you've seen people publicly travel and have publicly travelled yourself, are the Eastern Gate, which you came in on originally. In through originally after journeying from the village of Barovia. You then left through the Northern Gate and skirted close to the shoreline of Lake Barovia when you went on the hunt, but you came back in through the Western Gate. You kind of did like a loop down to the road which hits the Western Gate, up into some woods, and then came back and just headed straight into town. So, yeah, this is the eastern side of town. And you make your way, unless anyone else objects, towards the gate. Again, there's people moving about, as they do throughout the day, in this, I wouldn't quite say bastion of hope, but this place of comparative normality to the ghost town that is the village of Barovia. But you make your way to the Eastern Gate, and you see 3 guards posted there. Previously just 2, but it becomes maybe a bit more apparent why as you start making your way over. You can see that although the gates are closed, there is a kind of one of them is bent and twisted slightly. The bars have been, it looks like it's almost off kilter, and the bars, or the central bar that keeps where the gates meet, has been sort of bent and twisted as if pulled back by something. And the 3 guards there looking sort of, 2 of them looking out, and one of them looking around, spots you guys, and whispers to one of the others, who turns, and you do recognize them as one of the guards who has dealt with you guys in the past. There aren't too many guards in this town. There are several, but not a crazy number. And as such, one of them recognizes you, and there's a bit of like an eye roll, and he just calls across to one of the others and goes, "Hey, Dos, look." And the guy who's across from them, effectively all 3 guards turn and see you all, and 2 of them, again, that you recognize. The 3rd one, who was the one who spotted you originally, doesn't recognize you, but gets the gist that you are known by these guys. And usually people who are known by the guards are not the best of folk. So as you approach, there is like a thing where they stand there with their spears at one side, just staring straight ahead or staring at you, but otherwise unmoving.
Howdy.
What do you want? You want to leave? You're very welcome to leave.
Can we come back in?
You can come back in, yes. I suppose you're not barred from the city, or you would have been thrown out by now.
Thanks. All well here? I bet it is.
His eyebrow raises slightly. There's
Tempting fate. Oh no.
But he lets it slide. As you say that, and he just says, "All is well enough, as long as we do not have any trouble here. Do not recognize this one." And he sort of gestures towards the 2 that they don't really recognize, Trundle and Rain. But you're welcome to pass through as you see fit.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I will nod and not say anything.
Good. Was the gate like that when we came in?
No.
No, it wasn't.
The gate was closed.
I'm not an excellent tracker like these 5 and 7s here, but I think.
Yeah.
Disadvantage.
I'm not always going to make you roll for things. Based on the way that it's kind of, it seems to be, again, this gate opens inwards into the town. So the guards kind of stand there, and when people come in, they move out the way, so they don't, if carts roll up to the gate, they're able to open them without hitting the carts from the outside in. The guards are, the gate itself has been kind of bent inwards, as if something has either battered it from the outside or pulled it from the inside, and you're able to put 2 and 2 together. This you can assume fairly reasonably, because there's no signs that would give you specifics, that this was probably something to do with something that happened the last 2 nights. Something that happened in the last of the night of the coffin maker's shop, shall we say. You guys are not... In fact, I was about to say you're not stupid. You're relatively stupid. But you're not unwise. And you're able to put two and two together.
I'm smart.
But you're not wise. Like, that's the thing.
No.
It's you don't have someone who's both wise and intelligent. But yeah, you're able to figure it out. This is most likely due to something bending the bars to just rip through the gate with relative expedience. But the
Found a trail.
the guards have their arms folded and say, "So are you coming or going?"
Going out and then coming back in later.
You see him sort of look at the ground and he goes, "Okay, open the gates for them. You do not come back at night. We do not open the gates after sunset. You understand?"
We'll certainly keep that in mind.
And he sort of, as you say that, he sort of nods and says, "No exceptions." And the gates creak open. You can see as it creaks. The gate that's been bent open is slightly lower on its hinges and catches the mud a bit as it moves in. But the guard who's moving it kind of hefts it up a bit and drags it through. And they just stand there again, arms folded for him, and the others stand there, having moved the gate, spears at one side.
I'll telepathically communicate just with the party and say, these guys seem like they don't want trouble. Might be best that we stay out of their way. Wouldn't want to be locked up in some stocks or something around here.
Let's storm out the gate.
I'll smile, just say, all will be well.
As you say that, again, the guard just sort of blankly looks at you, just kind of, as you all pass.
I just smile back.
Just like a random all will be well. That's so foreboding.
Well, to be fair, Rain, you probably wouldn't know about all this. To be fair,
No, I'm assuming I would know the major catchphrase of the city, correct?
I mean, it's a village. You've not really been, but I'll say sure. I'm not going to punish you for playing a second character and being as a player retaining a little bit of knowledge of the former. Yeah, you just say that. He just stares at you and
Gonna say.
kind of doesn't say
Have my
anything.
wellness training.
And you make your way out. So you stand outside the broken gates. They creak shut behind you as the guards then continue to look out, kind of eyeing you, not necessarily suspiciously, but just watching what you're doing as you collect outside the gates. Noticeably, the pikes upon which the wolves' heads were mounted on this side of town have been cleared away in the last couple of days. The festival of the what was it? Festival of the Wolf's Head Jamboree has come and gone. But there are no festivities, no things that have been mounted out here as of yet to indicate the festival of the Blazing Sun. So, but they have been cleared away. But otherwise, what would you like to do?
Shall we
Split up and look for clues.
Yeah.
You Scooby doing this,
We could come
motherfucker.
walk around that way.
Sure. So how far out are you venturing effectively?
But we can't be venturing too far without knowing exactly the direction that we want to go. Because otherwise we'll go just off trail and not find anything. So
Can I
Please lead the way.
see if there's any tracks or anything just wandered through? I mean, I wasn't at the house to look at the tracks, but I know.
Maybe me and cousin should do that.
I won't, stars can't do it.
Can't do it. Not today.
So you want to be checking for some more tracks. Okay, go ahead and who's making the checks? Because I would say this would still be survival. This is effectively what survival is for.
Ooh, I'll do it.
Sure. So that'll be one. And again,
I could.
unfortunately, this is
Disadvantage.
correct. Disadvantage.
Yep.
Do I roll again? Sorry.
Yeah, just roll again. A second roll. Disadvantage 20 is pretty solid.
That's
That is
Holy.
pretty fucking good. I mean, I suppose whoever else is going to roll, you can roll, but I believe it'll be unlikely you manage to get a disadvantage 20.
I'll roll just for the shit of it because I did.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
there is a possibility. There's an outside possibility that you get something better than that.
Nope.
That is 10% of a Guzza roll there. So 20. That's really good. As the others are really struggling to find any trail beyond the warped gate, as cart tracks do roll in and out of here. Not many, mind. And there's a bit of foot traffic. You can definitely tell where the pikes were. There's been foot traffic as people have gone and cleared the area a little bit, and it's really made this area almost look flat again. It's just muddied and messy. However, you being a paladin of Chaunty or Shanti, it's been a while since I've pronounced it. Shantia. It's with a T apostrophe EA. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, we're getting a little bit of breathing from you, Snake. I think as a note.
Yeah, sorry.
That's right. I do want to hear you, but also hearing the.
I'm just letting you know in my life. I spilt whiskey everywhere, so I'm trying to clean it up.
Heavy breathing.
All over my phone and my mouse mat and pretty much everywhere. So
I can't wait to get more alcohol.
There you go.
But
it is mostly alcohol, so it will just evaporate off the phone.
That's exactly
how it works. Yeah.
It'll be fine.
Yeah. So Guzza, with your 20, you being a Sean Tia paladin, you are one of the earth, and I mean, okay, without giving you information just yet, how do you go about doing this really successfully? How do you go about following the trail? I kind of want your narrative input as to how you, using your abilities and your apparent skill at tracking, how do you go about tracking a being in this situation?
I think because everyone else is rushed off and sort of being headstrong to be like, yeah, let's go find him. Then he went this way, and oh look, the messed up gate. Yeah, he went this way. Let's go. And I've had some time to think about the words said by everyone. I took my time finishing my meal, and it was far more pensive about the whole thing. So I thought, no, give yourself the time. Give yourself the, this isn't a chase. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. Let's be calm about the things we do here. Let's take our time. So everyone else is rushed off into what I'll call is the wrong direction, essentially. And what I've done is again, being that of the Earth Mother or Chantier, I have essentially gone to look at everyone else is looking for tracks in the road. They're looking for markings. They're looking for a scratch mark. That's what they're looking for. I'm looking for a disturbance in the ground. I'm putting my hand to the ground. I'm putting it on the grass, and I'm seeing what here is disturbed you, and slowly through just pushing my hand through the ground, and then just maybe picking up some soil and rubbing it between my hands, and just maybe even smelling it or something like that. Just essentially working my way through the nearby area just to feel something that the ground's telling me, not what I'm looking for. And eventually, even at disadvantage, there's something that pings. There's something that says, this is the way that they went, or whatever you allow me to see with this, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, So as the others are largely focused around where the gate is, and are going for the kind of, like you said, the short game, the run, the sprint, not the marathon. You take your time, and although you're not the sharpest tool in the box, you are. This is something that is like you said. It's part of kind of what you represent in a large number of ways, and you take a few steps beyond, and whilst the others in some instances descend to a bit of bickering and arguing, or sort of, no, they clearly went this way, or no, they clearly went that way, or we don't have any idea, kind of this not really not useful talk. You're able to kind of block that out and take a few steps away, making it maybe 30 or 40 feet away down the path before you kind of notice again, it just catches your eye as you're sort of sifting through some earth and lowering yourself to the ground. You catch just maybe another 10-15 feet ahead of you just along the edge of the road, just a small swatch of cloth, and it's not cloth at first, but you realize what it is. It is, not for the first time, a piece of Richter's robe, the robe that he wore that was caught on the gate, the same, almost the interior lining of it, the cross-hatching design. It's muddied and dirty, but there's a couple of glimmers of a lighter colour that catch your eye, and you step over to it and are able to sort of pick it up and look at it, and it's damp, it's caked with a bit of earth, but it's unmistakably part of his. And as you sort of centre around that area without drawing the others to you, you're able to look at the ground and can see a single, rather like elongated, as if running, set of footsteps that leads sort of, it's shorter leading up to this point, and as you look around the area a bit more, kind of in a almost a, I don't know what you'd call it, like a UV light kind of mode comes on, and you can see where the earth goes from being a reddish color, so it goes from being a brownish color to being slightly more reddish, and you can see a point where the earth is more depressed. It's right along the tree line where there is a bit of grass that has been flattened, and again it's slightly stained with blood. And although you're not certain exactly how the events took place, it's clear that something stopped here for a while, blood was let, and then whatever it was continued at a faster pace away. But this is a good, 150 feet or so away from the gate where this has happened. And you're able to tell that, like I said, it continues along the path, along one edge of the path, for the foreseeable distance, as well as where you are right now. But you can, and as you sort of pull back from this and step back up and look down the pathway, the sound of the others sort of chatting and bickering and having a discussion that's aimless and kind of pointless fades in about sort of 80 or so feet back, barely far enough away from the guards for them to not be almost a little bit pissed off / finding it amusing that you're all kicking around looking at mud. And yeah, again, you often your own realize this. The rest are relatively oblivious.
Fuck.
So you stand out there, the others chatting away, not finding anything, not even too aware of you being away from everyone else, having done your own thing and successfully found something. You hold a piece of Richter's cloth in your hand, a little bit bloodstained, but mainly mud caked. And the others continue to sort of talk and whatnot. What do you do?
Shit. I think we all know what I'm thinking.
Come on.
And as the others of you are sort of looking around, poking around, you notice off in the distance Gaza. He's far away. He's not sort of distant, but he's far away, sort of slightly, almost crouched slightly, but is facing away from you guys. Yeah.
I'm just gonna scrunch it up in my hand, so it's not visible to anyone.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's quite a distance. Like I said, 80 or so feet away.
If he's gone away in a direction, I'll follow him and go like, "You found something?" Is there a trail? I ain't really done much tracking, but I know like footprints and broken branches and shit.
This is exactly the kind of thing you do not want to be tracking through. This is the kind of weather in the last couple of days I would have done a job before, because it's so difficult to track people through mud and things like that.
Does that make it easier?
No, it doesn't.
That's what you say.
Especially if dogs are involved for tracking things. They lose the scent with the rain, and loads of people come through when the tracks get all mixed up. It's good cover. That's why I said this would not be easy. Not impossible, but very, very difficult.
Huh. I wouldn't have thought this would be too hard, because like if it's muddy, like one person running through is just going to leave big old footprints. It doesn't seem like this place is busy or anything.
Well, this place, no, but plenty of places in the towns. Get
Mm.
busy. I would not drop somewhere like this. Not just because I don't do that anymore.
Alright, well, keep looking then.
I can try. Keep looking.
Forgive me, I'm not entirely sure what we're looking for. Can you give me a description? I mean,
How close is Zadie to me?
I'll be like right next to you at this point. So
Yes.
I assume, like, if you've walked off, like, in a distance away from us, I will have assumed you found a trail.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is you know, you guys having a sort of conversation, looking around, and in that time he was able to slip, kind of not just slip away, but just sort of kind of went a bit into the zone and followed this route whilst none of you were really paying attention. But yes, you are able to close the gap. She's right on your shoulder.
I'll be describing Riktor to Rain. So it wouldn't be easy to miss. The purple-skinned tiefling likes to ask you if you can give him some blood.
Yeah,
Fine fellow.
you've read about tieflings. You've never seen one. You've heard of people who are of like a wild skin color, like a red or a purple or a green, and they have glowing eyes and whatnot. Again, any stories you would have read would either have been based in fact, which maybe you did read, or in conjecture, which would have been more folk tales. You know, the same way as giants under bridges and, you know, trolls that would take your lunch money and shit. That's the kind of, you know, those you'd have information of all these kind of things. Tieflings just fall into another one of those categories. You might not even know them as tieflings, but after a bit of conversation and a description, you get the vague idea of what you're expecting, but you don't.
I'll do a little minor illusion in the palm of my hand, a little sort of action figure style thing of Riktor, just like, look like this.
He really dressed like that?
Oh, I know. It's odd, isn't it?
Garish. Guess he wasn't from
No.
weird.
Is there enough distance between Zadie and I and the rest of the party that I could have a conversation with her without others hearing?
I think Ray has come over, right?
No, I'm talking to.
Oh,
to
okay.
Rain.
Yeah.
We're sort of like off to the side talking about what
Yeah.
he looks like.
In that
Yeah.
case, yeah, the Arena's kind of not, again, she's not been too talkative, and you see that she is a little bit hesitant to linger too far from the gates and too close to the woods, so her search area is relatively narrow. But yeah, you're far enough away from others to have a quiet conversation out of earshot of anyone else, for sure.
So I think the article of clothing is tightly in the fist in my hand, and I have it very tightly fisted in my hand.
Yeah, and
Just
you have
by my side.
in your half orc form. You have large hands, and you're able to conceal it without being like, I'm gripping something tightly. It's well hidden, you know, effectively, or well enough hidden that it's not a large piece. It's a rip. It's this kind of size.
Mercedes' words of calling Guzzer out at the inn earlier, sort of still ringing in his ears. Sort of, you hear through gritted teeth him say, but again, quite enough to have the conversation between the two of us. He's like, I know Strahd took your eyes, but I did not realize he took your vision too. You say my wanting for hunting wolves was nothing but an unnecessary thrill-seeking, a joyous adventure. You say it killed a man. Well, I say it saved a man. I don't know if you've been noticing, but us going there brought a man back to life too, and I point to the direction of Trendle. And even because of that, we found a new accompaniment because of it as well. I point to Rain. Now you go looking for logical reasons, but it's a fool that looks for logic in the chambers of the heart and the will of the gods.
Can't make something retroactively good just because it ended okay.
You think
Not
we
about
ever
how it
find him?
ended.
You talking about a man's life ending because of it as well? Don't think it's fair to put one, tarnish one, but not the other. I ain't found nothing.
Well, then we keep looking.
Make a deception check. I ain't found nothing. And Zadie, you gotta make an insight check.
Not too shabby.
Oh. Hey, what?
Just because I want to like throw it in there, you know, hero points can be used on ability checks as well. But no, as it stands, I'm just. Yeah, it doesn't. It's said in a normal enough way that it doesn't.
Well, that's okay. Then we keep looking. You're fairly good at this, Rat. Let me help you.
Sure. I'll say guidance is pretty limited in this capacity because of its short term. It can be used to help a little bit, but because of the nature of like guidance is a minute long, or it can be used during a minute.
Yeah, just to find the start trail.
Yeah, sure. That's what I'm saying. It can be, it's possible to be useful, but I am wary of guidance being like really, really powerful because it can be used for everything. Whereas just keeping it in its confines of being a minute, used within a minute.
Look, I didn't mean to just upset you. I started it. I was the one who put us on the path of ignoring what we should be doing. And I got to do the thing that I wanted to do, and then you got to do the thing that you wanted to do, but ultimately those just ended up getting a lot of people hurt, and...
We supposed to find werewolves! We found werewolves!
Not here! We're supposed to find werewolves and get them out of Daggerford, and we're not there!
The rest of you hear this conversation start flaring up over in the distance.
Yeah, I would have had that.
But carry on.
Don't approach. I'm just gonna look from sort of like where I am.
It's hard to
Look,
make it.
I ain't saying there's not a lot of good that needs to be done here, but it's not what we're supposed to be doing, and it's not what we said we would do. We went off the track somewhere, and I think it was back there, and we should be trying to get home and trying to do the thing we said we would do.
Things like them beasts ain't something you want to try and fight first time round. Any experience fighting them things is surely something we should take guidance over. We saw what those things can do. You right, they kill man. They kill a man. I'm wearing his coat out of respect of him too.
Look, if you want to go, and I'll do it.
Do what?
Look for Riktor by myself. This just needs to happen. I need to do it. You don't have to be here.
So what is your great plan out of all this? We find him, you want to bury him, or you want to carry him all over this village, this city, this landscape?
I figure one of three things needs to happen. One, we found a body, and we put it to rest, like it should be. Two, we find someone with no ears or no nose walking around. Three, we find Riktor and he ain't what he should have been, and he wouldn't want that, and I don't want that for him, and we fix it.
Just tense breathing from Gunther. And then like...
I'm gonna step a little closer, mate.
Yeah, I mean, again, none of this, the conversation besides the outburst has been inaudible for you, but you can tell that there's a conversation taking place. And
yeah, I edged a little closer when I heard the outburst, and then I'll probably start making my way over a bit more.
Same.
In vicinity by this point.
Yeah,
Same.
You make your way over. Again, Trundle, you heading over as well?
But staying at a but just staying at a reasonable, like an audible distance. Put it that way.
Sure. So you move again. You'll move kind of within about 20 feet. None of you having found anything of merit. Like, again, what's it? It's not Heffalump, is it? What's the thing about the Winnie the Pooh story about following the trail of the creature? Is it Heffalump? Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember if it was Heffalump or not. So yeah, you've had a couple of near Heffalump moments of being like, and then you follow the trail and you've realised it's just like it's someone going to the post or where the posts were outside the lead into the village or the town, and then they've moved back. And then they've gone and cleaned something else up, and they've moved back, and it's like there's like 3 sets of trail, and then you realise over time it's just one person going back and forth. So
that's not you be talking. Sorry,
no, you'll make your way over. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
And you are aware of it, especially Guzzy. You are kind of facing back to where the others are. Sadie, you kind of. It doesn't matter so much to you as long as they're within 60 feet. You can kind of sense them. So you sense people kind of approaching from behind. You know who they are. But keeping their distance maybe 15, 20 feet back.
Last night you were talking about choices. You talking about how you never got a choice. You talking about how Trondle got a choice. You upset that Trondle chose his choice. He chose to continue going. Maybe Riktor chose a different path. He said he saw him too. Maybe he chose death. You ever think about that?
Yeah, that's why one of the 3 options was finding a body. In fact, I assume that's what he did choose. It's what I would have chosen.
You know, there's a saying us farm folk have. A shepherd don't go looking for a lost lamb when there's a whole flock to take care of. People out there need our help right now, right today. If that body's dead as you say it is, then he don't need no more help. At least not now.
If his body's out there, then he needs the biggest help. He needs the eternal blessing so that he can move on.
At this point, I'm gonna point out.
Also,
so we're going to spend however long it takes looking for a body, while the rest of Barovia is stuck in this cursed wasteland with a vampire overseeing everything and laughing in our faces. Is that the better option, or would you rather wait and come back to that once we're done with the bigger picture? Excuse me while I get a hot chocolate. Thank you, my man. I too have a patron god of hot chocolate.
The forbidden hand, just
man, that mage hand of yours is really going along.
Deus Ex hot chocolate.
Can I give inspiration to like significant others? This is fantastic. I want to carry on.
Right again. Sorry.
Our honorary wizard, yeah. He was, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. We need to think about. I'm not good at this, but we need to think about the bigger picture. It's all connected. The vampires, you think they're not connected to Strahd in some way? If we deal with Strahd, then we have a better chance of dealing with everything.
Yeah, which is what I've been saying to do, but... But we need to find Riktor.
Why? Why can't it wait? Why can't it wait while we help people who are actually still alive and we have a chance saving?
What? So if any of us die, we just drop them and walk away?
Until we have a better chance of doing something that can actually help them. There's better... It's not nice that we have to leave the dead lying where they are, but the dead are dead. The living are still living, as long as we're helping.
We don't know which of the 3 he is. He might be alive, he might be a vampire, and he might be dead. And as far as I can see, in all 3 cases, we need to find him and help him.
What are the odds that he's alive?
Is there a
Who
tree?
said I'm alive or Trundle's alive.
Is there a tree nearby Trundle?
But you came back to
Near
us.
enough. Yeah, maybe 15 feet away, sort of off the track. You guys are quite close to the edge.
I'm gonna walk over to the tree, and whilst people are having a conversation, just start wildly just hacking away at it with my rapier, just over and over. And you can hear like a puffing and a panting coming through my nose. No
I don't like
noise,
just a
just
daddy
like,
fight.
Yeah.
like a sort of anger, just over and over and over,
Yeah.
until eventually he kind of drops the rapier and starts fucking punching the shit out of a tree.
Yeah, the
Just
rapier.
angry.
The rapier is ineffective of whatchamacallit. It's at cutting a tree down. It's designed to slash at things, but yeah, you then just start pummeling the tree. You guys can, like, as this conversation taking place, and you see Trundle move over, and he's just kind of wailing on the tree. You see his knuckles kind of starting to get red, and the skin split. You almost see the hair on his neck prickling up slightly. But he seems to manage to resist the urge of transforming. There's a rising in him, but he just like huffing and panting with just the nose, just the eyes. It's just frustration as this conversation continues.
I'll probably sink to my knees in front of the tree, just sort of rest my head against it and just shaking it slowly, just. Without looking to everyone else, just say, Guz is right. If I know Riktor, he wouldn't have come back. He saved my life once, and I feel so much shame that I couldn't do the same for him. We should be concerned with the living.
Pacing up and down, I'm going to start trying to take off my armor, if I can be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
And I guess while he's been doing this, maybe the slashing of the thing, I'll assume that I'm now fully unarmored. I won't say it's like the magical onesie, maybe we're...
It does take some time. It takes about, it might be only a minute to disarm, but I think it's more
I can
like...
punch a tree for a minute.
Thanks, buddy. I need you. I need you to do this.
I think it's more like 5, but for ease of purpose, yeah, we'll say narratively, you're able to sort of be taking it off bit by bit, undoing the belts. It's only a chain vest. It's not a full plate, or chain. Sorry, so it's not full as difficult to take off. So yeah, over the course of a minute or two, you are able to de-armor, still with your clothes underneath. You know, you have a I imagine a shirt underneath under the chain, and you know, trousers as normal, but yeah, you were able to de-chain and sort of take it off.
I think, considering that I'm not the smartest nor sharpest tool in the box, or whatever we called it, and also just the sort of the red mist that Guzz is now seeing with all this derobing, he'll be like, if you want to bury a goddamn body of his in the ground, then fine. And I'll just walk up to her and just turn into Riktor and look her straight in the eye and be like, then bury this goddamn body.
As you see Riktor's form kind of materialize in front of you again, it's unnerving.
Oh, hello.
It's unnerving for you, Rain. For you,
Plus 5
like
charisma, mate.
Rain. For you, it's surreal as you see this individual shift into a much more sort of real-looking version of that image that was shown to you by Rhea. But the same voice remains as he yells out towards Zadie.
But I'm like this close, if I can be. Unless he like smacks me in the head with a mace, but I'll get as close as I can be.
And you're slightly shorter than you were, so it's closer to eye, where it probably is eye to eye.
Well, eye to hole.
Sure.
It's a real mean thing to do.
And you think, Ledden, what? We keep looking for this body? For another day, another month, another year? That's letting a lot more folk die than just one.
You know, people go mad for overthink. I don't wish to really step in all that, because, well, I don't know you all that well, but it's me that whatever you're looking for, Strahd has it. And has something to do with it. I don't know much.
You're cutting in and out quite a lot, Snake.
God damn it again.
Speak a little bit louder.
I have to move it close to my face.
It's alright.
Okay.
Just want to be able to hear you.
Okay. So clearly Strahd has something to do with whatever it is. Perhaps he has him, perhaps he doesn't. If this truly is your friend, he means that much to you, then your quarry is with him, not with each other. People go mad in this place. People close to me have gone mad in this place. We don't choose to stay here by choice, but those who do eventually lose themselves. I'll leave it at that.
Noticing that Rain, just like without even thinking, like, shit, Rain hasn't seen this, and then I'll see it like as he starts his speech. I'm just gonna like curse. What was the curse that Soldar said to me in his common tongue of Barovia? It was like for coach. It began with F. I'm sure of it.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
If you allow me to remember at this moment,
Yeah,
I
sure.
would have said that, and then I will like turn my head away from it. And then start
I would have
turning
understood
back
it.
to Gaza. Yes, you would
Correct.
have.
He doesn't matter.
You get off back to Gaza's form.
I may need to discuss that with you at some point.
Trundle wouldn't have seen that before either. Although he's probably a bit distracted by the tree he's just eviscerated.
Yeah, Trundle's not particularly looking. He's
Fair
still head against the tree.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not that close. So, anyways.
Yeah, you're only like 10, 15 feet or so. You're well within conversation limits, being that you can talk to anyone within 30 feet of you telepathically. But yeah, you're able to hear the conversation clear as day. You just might not be looking at Gaza / Riktor.
Guztor, as we call it.
Guztor.
I'm gonna start trying to put back on my armor, and if anyone wants to help me, that would be grand. Thank you.
I'll give him a hand.
Thank you.
It takes longer to put it on regardless. You've got to get the adjustments correct. It's like, say, putting a belt on versus taking it off. You know, you get the idea that it's easy to just... But to put it on, you've got to get it through all the loops. You've got to tighten it to the right thing, then adjust the stuff that's underneath and put on the second layer. So, yeah, it takes a few minutes for sure.
At any point, would I, while helping him, would I have noticed the piece of cloth in his hand?
Gaza, what
No
have you...
fucking way. No fucking way. Whatever.
Not even with your remarkably less.
Well,
powerful hands.
I would say that in order for you to have taken your armor off conveniently and in a shorter space of time than it would usually take, you would have had to put it away or put it somewhere. What would you have done with it at that point? Because to take off a full thing of armor, of heavy armor, with one hand is nigh impossible. Or not nigh impossible, but would have taken you 20 minutes, rather than...
But then it would have been like tucked into like maybe just under my clothing again or something when I was trying to reach for something to take off a bandolier here or whatever, a wrap is there. It would be, I don't know, underneath my onesie shoulder. No one's seeing this now. That time has passed.
Oh, you think that time's passed? Oh, you mean you tucked it away before you started taking stuff off? All right, I will.
Would I have noticed where he tucked it? Is it under your clothes that you're still wearing? You mean?
Yes.
Or you've tucked into the armor that's dropped on the floor? I'm now helping with.
It's tucked into my clothes. I'm wearing.
Okay, fair enough. But
yeah, I'm torn on that because I feel like there would have been
Is
it
that
would
a pun?
have been a situation where there would have been at least one or two people near you as you moved it. Go ahead and roll a...
Sleight of hand.
Well, no, go ahead and roll a duck of lice. Just a D20, Harry. Just roll this. See if luck's
Come on,
see
for
if,
fuck's sake.
see if luck's on your side. Or did you roll?
There you go. 10.
Bang in the middle.
wow.
Classic.
I roll
Duck of
something?
lice.
The duality of it all.
Yeah, so just make a... Unfortunately, because of the nature of blind sight, this is really kind of dumb, but the nature of blind sight would render it a lot harder to see something that goes under clothing with something in hand and comes out. For someone like Rhea, however, it wouldn't be as difficult. So I'll say, Harry, go ahead and roll a sleight of hand, with advantage, and this will be a perception check from. I'll just say a perception check from Zadie and Rhea, as you're the two closest. I will just say straight.
Oh my god! All right. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Whilst
messy.
this is happening,
And you don't have guidance, by the way. That's gone. That's faded.
Yeah.
also, yeah, whilst this is happening, Trundle's probably just going to pick up a rock and just sit down and sharpen his blade.
I don't
that was
think it
anyway,
matters.
so-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've picked up a rock and started.
I was sharpening my blade, and I was just going to quickly BRB with that, and I'll follow. I'll be 1 second.
Yeah, sure. You see as this is taking place, at some point, Guzz's sleight of hand in this case is not particularly great, and although you don't see what it is, you see that something is definitely kind of deposited in under his undershirt. It sort of leaves a slight bulge there that maybe is more distinct when you shift forms and back.
You didn't cast fog during this at all, did you, Sophie?
Yeah.
I didn't cast what? Sorry?
Fog
You
cloud.
didn't cast fog during this, did you?
Yeah.
Oh no, I don't do that shit.
No.
Oh.
Okay, fine then.
But
Everybody hates
yeah,
fog cloud.
but
Yeah.
you don't know what it is. He just
But it wouldn't have made a difference to Zadie anyway.
yeah. But you don't know what it is. It is just simply tucked under there, and it's small. It's nondescript, but you definitely see like a point at which a hand lingers a bit and sort of fingers uncurl, and maybe there's a little bit of dirt on his fingers which wasn't there, which we hadn't seen before. There's like little other tells from it that aren't necessarily him failing with it. So
If Zadie doesn't mention it, then
well,
I'm-
you don't know what Zadie got with her perception check, I suppose.
no, I don't.
So-
No, but if she doesn't say anything to indicate that she saw that, then while I'm helping Guzzer on with his armor, I might try and swipe it and for myself.
Okay. Yeah. I don't see why you couldn't, as you're helping, as you're sort of like lifting the chain over his shoulders, you're able to just sort of like, again, Guzzer, you're very aware of it after it's happened, as her hand sort of quickly like darts under your, sort of into where you've tucked it in, and sort of just pulls out this, again, a small ripped.
I do it while I'm behind him so that it's not visible to anyone.
Yeah. But again, it's still very. He notices that your hand has to go under, basically, under his shirt to grab it, and you pull it out again. Unfortunately,
I take a single moment to look at it before putting it away. Yeah.
Well, but I mean, it's hard for you to do this without people who are watching seeing.
Sure.
So like you do all notice this. Guzzer, you obviously notice this as it's taken. Zadie, you notice this. Unfortunately, you can't tell what it is beyond a piece of cloth. You can't see the patterns on it. You can't recognize it. It looks like a ripped bit of cloth.
Hey Ray, what is it?
And you tuck it away, but everyone has seen this effectively, with the exception of Trundle, who's sharpening a rock.
It won't change anything, you know.
Oh,
It
that
doesn't
depends.
change the bigger picture of things. Realizing that she's seen it and knowing that she won't let it go, I take it out and just let it sort of unfurl.
Take it, it's a nice shade of purple.
It doesn't make him any less right, Zadie. I know that's really hard for you to hear.
He isn't right.
He's not wrong though either.
He is wrong. He is fundamentally wrong. Riktor was our friend, and regardless of the 3 states, we're talking like eternal afterlife. We are deciding to let him be stuck here forever if we leave him. That is
No,
what you-
we are dealing with that so that we can deal with the bigger problem that will solve a whole lot of other problems, possibly including this one.
No, we're not.
How are we not? Strahd is the problem. You had Rain, he said. Strahd is responsible for all of this.
Strahd is responsible for the shit that's going on, but if you kill Strahd, he might still be a vampire. If you kill Strahd, he still hasn't had the last right. Either way.
Yes, but if we deal with Strahd, it'd be easier to deal with any underlings that he might have. Surely.
Did Irina follow us?
She's kind of lurking at a distance.
I was gonna say because maybe she'd know what happens to people if Strahd gets removed.
She's like lingering maybe 15 or 20 feet away. Like say 15 feet away, as you're all clustered within about 5-10 feet of each other, with the exception of Trundle, who's off sharpening a rock slightly nearby, within 15 or so feet. But she's just a little bit back, and like she effectively doesn't much like you, Rain, has yet to say too much. She's been with them, but was not with them at the beginning. Does not know them to the same extent as they know each other.
Okay.
Right, we're not talking about him experiencing nothing during this thing. It could be torturous, what he's going through, and we're just going to be like, he can wait a few months while we fix it.
He could be waiting a few months while we try and find him to fix it. If we even can fix it at this point.
But at least then we're trying.
We're trying whatever we do. It's all trying to work towards this same goal. Isn't it? I want to help Riktor.
You guys had forgotten about leaving anyway.
Forgotten about leaving?
We all had. We were all making plans for doing nonsense, getting distracted. We just need to do this one thing.
What nonsense?
You haven't died here. You don't know what it's like.
What
we don't
nonsense
know if you've been
are
there
we doing?
for a
What
minute,
nonsense?
hours.
What nonsense? The wolves?
Yeah, the wolves. Yeah, the church.
Wolves were part of the fortune teller's prophecy that would give us what we needed to help. That was why we went.
It was not why we went to the wolves, and it was not why.
It was why I went
to the church.
No, we went to the church to help people, to do a good deed.
And we were getting distracted from the one we're supposed to be doing. And we got 2 people killed. And he might still be there with whatever, talking to him and showing him things, or we need to fix it if we can. And look, we might have a way.
What if you die waiting, trying to find him? Then what?
Then that's fine. At least
Is it
I was
though?
doing the right thing. Again, I do not care if none of you want to come. If you feel this strongly that we should just leave him, then do it.
And
And that's it? You go your own way?
I can't see how I can do anything else when I know he's out there and we're not even trying, and we've got to the stage where we've found a path to him and a clue, and we're just gonna go, look, maybe later.
Well, what does this clue tell us?
That he was at least in this direction. For all we know, he could be 10 meters away, just dead. And we're just gonna stand here instead of look.
Oh yeah, there he is. Sorry, I just point.
For the first time in this conversation, Irina does pipe up and she says, I know my brother's is... I know where he is, but I cannot go find him now. It would be certain death. And I would be... She, like, kind of roughly pulls down and shows the 2 sets of, like, deep bite marks that have, again, healed over to an extent, but are still prominent on her neck. I want to go save him, but I know it not to be a smart decision. And I know where he is. And you're sure that Riktor is dead? Or otherwise? Yes, you do not know who he is, or how he is, or where he is. So looking for him, perhaps that is a noble goal. But she points sort of in the direction of the east. Says, this? You know where this leads. And she kind of points off into the distance. It's foggy-ish. But even, there are kind of rolling hills. But you know, having travelled this route, that the direction she points in is towards the castle on top of the kind of the monolithic, hilltop. Leads to him. If you want to go looking for him, I can tell you that is probably where you'll find him. But if you want to be trapped here forever, that is the way I would go. But I will not follow you.
I feel like everyone is being insane right now. We've literally just found evidence that he came this way. What the fuck is the harm of just looking until before it's dark?
You remember the last time we were this way?
Yeah, I fucking died. I'm aware of it, Arena.
And
I know the risk. Me and Trundle are the only ones here who
And
know how much it sucks to die here. And we've got a friend in that goddamn situation.
She cuts you off. She cuts you off and says, "There are fates worse than there are fates worse than death. And currently, my brother might be living through it. Don't tell me what you think you know of suffering and loss in this place. Yes, you have. I've seen it. It is strange, but you are back. You are
Okay, well tell me
seemingly
what
yourself.
fucking color it is, Arena.
What do you think?"
I don't know. I can't fucking see it. But shut up for a minute, because this isn't about you.
She says, "It may not be about me, but it seems like it is about you."
It is, and it's about Riktor, and it's about what he's going through, and it's about we came out here to look for him. We know we need to get back before dark. I don't know what everyone's problem is in just looking until then.
She just takes a step back and shrugs.
What happens when the next body goes missing? We go looking for that one too?
If it's yours, I would.
Why is my body worth more than anyone else's that's gone missing?
Anyone's here. I would do this for any of you.
So why would you
It
not?
breaks my heart that apparently none of you would do it for me, but whatever.
So why have you not headed to that castle on the hill to find my brother?
Because your brother told you to come to the church, and we did, and now we don't know why that was. And like I said, we
But
need
you
to
know where he
figure that
is.
shit out.
You know where he has been taken.
All right, so I'll go there.
No, don't. That is my point. That you searched there, that castle. You won't come back.
I'm not going to the cat. I just want to
is
look
she
until
again-
it's dark for the body of my friend who might be suffering in like eternal damnation.
And she points again to the east and says, "Where do you think he has been taken? Where else lies to the east of here? What do you think this vampire ran off into the woods and took him to the village of Barovia? Or the windmill on that hill? I somehow think not.
Or maybe
Think-
his corpse is just lying under a tree 5 meters away. We don't know. There is no harm
Then-
in looking.
Then you can look until dark. I will help you in that aim. Your aim is... It is good, but... I'm with you
There's
on
no-
looking for him, but everything here points to danger, to more loss than you have felt so far. I do not wish to dissuade you from looking for your friend, but I don't know, there's one thing it tells me: if you found this in this direction, And it is that Riktor is probably with my brother. In that castle, up on that hill. To get them back, well, you wouldn't get them back.
Well, then we check here now that we've found evidence of him. And then we go back, and we go back to the coffin maker, who obviously has some relationship with the vampires. See what's going on there, and then make our way to Strahd sensibly. I am not saying we don't do that. I am just saying we came out here today, and it's not gonna fucking hurt to search for another hour.
I don't see what harm it could do.
We search for another hour. Why not? What's the harm? There are fates worse than death. I'm definitely with you, Irina, on this one. You act like one of us, so none of the rest of us haven't experienced some loss. Raised in this mess. I think I know more closer to Irina in this when I can tell you that you lose people here, whether you like it or not, and there are fates worse than death.
You see her kind of swallow heavily and kind of nod with like a very knowing kind of understanding.
People would sooner die than be taken by Strahd. That much is certain.
She pulls the sort of scarf, again cowl is a good way of putting it, back around her neck.
I just turned to Irina. Irina, would you rather die?
She just quietly, slowly nods her head. Then be taken by him. Yes.
As would I. As I'm sure all of you would.
Me definitely. I don't live here like you guys do, but
we can look for an hour.
no.
What's the harm? But we do need to be back before dark. And if you think werewolves are the only dangerous things lurking out here, you have not spent a night out on these plains.
Let's not waste any more time talking.
I just walk
Let's
in that
look
direction.
and go.
Mm-hmm. So you walk off to the east.
Yep.
Yeah. Literally, like, so that we have the space to walk back before it gets dark.
Yeah.
I mean, it is not even lunchtime yet. You guys are, it was morning. You headed more or less straight here. So there is a lot of day left. Again, it is the one time I'll remind you in every session that it is never fully bright and light, but it is always overcast and gloomy. And as it happens, there is the kind of that energy in the air, that almost storm, but no rain falls, just clouds, just kind of extra gloom in the air. But you venture eastward.
Do we find anything else, like any more pieces?
Well,
of clothing?
effectively, none of you have a trail. Only Guzzer has even seen the trail. He kind of had moved on a little bit from it when this whole conversation started. So, unless he's sharing the trail that he had, all you have is a piece of cloth. You know that it indicates to you that there was something heading east here, but based on previous checks, and it does kind of carry over. You are. Well, there might be, but you guys can't find it. You don't know. You don't know where to start beyond east here. Guzzer, you could relatively easily continue following your trail if you so chose.
Sure. Can we take a break very soon?
Yes, that's what I was going to. I was going to come
Yes.
to a break here, and we'll take a 10 to 15 minute break. So we'll be back around. You. Yep. Oh, you said cool. Sorry, cool. I thought you said ooh. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So we'll be back at, we'll say, just before 10 or around 10, where we will continue this this journey, this discussion, this intrigue.
Discourse? Sorry.
Discourse.
Discord. Yeah, very much.
Yeah, that's actually Discord is actually pretty accurate. So we will see you guys in about 15 minutes. So BRB. And we're back. Thank you for your patience. I spilt champagne on myself, or Prosecco on myself, which is why we're a little bit late. So, yeah, but we are back. Brew, if you spell my name wrong again, I'll demod you, I swear. Sorry, just have to get that out there. I will bust you. But yeah, so we're back, and we're ready to continue our Discord here, where yeah, you guys venture off. You're maybe 150 feet or so from the gates of the eastern gate of Vallaki, and as it stands right now, based off of the fact you've made checks to find this, and one of you was successful, and still has the ability to either highlight that thread to other people or follow that thread. The rest of you are, I don't mean to be, I just want to be blunt. It's not, you're not going to be able to find a trail without the assistance of that check, because the check is, the idea of one or two people taking on the checks is to encompass the group's ability to check, but in this case it was a single-handed one person finding it, and they have not yet shared that information with the group, and no one else is aware of exactly where it was found. So it's effectively, Gaza, are you sharing that information with the others or not? It's entirely up to you. No? Okay, so you guys look around for 45 minutes, an hour. As the time rolls on, you find things that you think might be pockets of steps, but the path further down, further away from the town, is less well traveled. Despite being traveled, it is less. There's less like active, like a local activity, which could give space for one or two errant trails to be more distinguishable. But it's all it seems to tend to is that the ground is, or the path is, to your eyes, relatively flat. and that there aren't any major trails. The trails you do pick up on, the couple of trails that you do note, are deep wagon grooves and horses' hooves, but not the trail you'd expect, and not in any discernible all in one direction or as one horse. There are, occasional horse hoof tracks either way, and the wagon trails are directionless, i.e. they're east and west, because they're not like feet shaped, they are just grooves. So as you spend about an hour or so, as you reach around midday, the sun high but masked in the sky, with no trail followed or found. I mean, the direction that they were headed. You make it maybe like, I would say, half a mile down the road of just poking around looking for stuff to no avail. So that sort of leads you to, again, these hexes being about a quarter of a mile. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Gets you to the point at the sort of the lowest dip of this stretch of the road, in terms of the southerlymost dip, with no great avail, to no great avail. Do you want to keep looking?
I mean, I do until we have to go back.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, until it's dark. Sure.
I'll be sort of getting to the point where we've walked so far and we can't see the sun, can we?
Not directly, no.
Never mind.
I mean, you can see where it is, but it's obscured behind clouds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, at the point where I think the sun's sort of at the highest it'll get.
It's about now.
That's when I'll sort of turn and say, I think we're getting close to the time when we have to think about going back.
Yeah. I mean, you do have a few more hours for sure.
I was going to say, realistically, we've probably got like 3 or 4 hours, I assume, at least.
Yeah, I would say you have maybe 5 hours at least till it gets dark, and this.
But we've been going for a few hours.
No, you've been going for an hour at this point. This is
right.
an hour of checking. Like the hexes are about a quarter of a mile, and I would say
Riktor's
doing a scan as you move, you can cover about a mile an hour. There or thereabouts. If you're wanting to be more thorough, maybe a bit slower than that. But again, without the trail to lead you to where you are now, all you have is a direction. Again, just due to circumstances of how blind sight works, unfortunately, the person with the biggest drive and the most sort of intense scouring, you are limited, Zadie, at least from the ability of seeing textures, the ability of seeing patterns, seeing textures, seeing more than 60 feet away. There are certain limitations to having blind sight for sure. And those become more and more apparent as the frustration rises in being unable to find a tangible path. Again, none of you have any other success. Gaza, whether you're searching hard but hiding it, or not searching but moving with the group, you continue to.
Sorry. At one point, could I take the scrap of Riktor's clothing to Trundle and say, I know it's a long shot, but I know that you have a pretty good sense of smell, yes? From your wolfy thing.
That I do.
You could get something from this, maybe?
I'll give it a try. I presume we go in, survival. Survival? For smelling that thing? Is it perception?
Ain't gonna help you, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay, well, cool.
Yeah.
I would have asked because I know.
I mean, again, your abilities pertain to tracking specific types of creatures, undead, lycanthropes, I think, and possibly others.
I can't actually track exactly where they are. It's just I can't be surprised by them. It's kind of weird.
No, but yeah, I swear it tends into the whole feature as part of your order of the lichen. Let me just see if I can find it. It's the
heightened senses.
Hunter's Bane. You have advantage on wisdom survival checks to track fey, fiends, and undead. So unfortunately, Riktor being none of those, even with a slight fiendish background, he's not a fiend. He's a humanoid, and that's where your strength really rises. But unfortunately, yeah, you do get the scent of a faint scent of Riktor. I don't quite know what Riktor would smell like. Patchouli, maybe. The kind of just
Probably
that
dry
slight,
blood.
yeah, dried blood as well. Mud again because of the actual piece itself has been lying out in the weather for a couple of days at least. You know, or you'd imagine. Yeah, you're unable to pick anything from it, anything specific beyond, or especially not a trail as such. But you collectively, as this sort of takes place, you continue to move down the Old Svalich Road eastward, and you get close-ish to the point at which which the road doubles back on itself. When you get to around this point when the party is kind of stretched out a bit, not massively. You're not hugely spread apart, but I'm imagining from front to back, you're maybe, 50 feet or so spread apart, the six of you, because there's 5 of you plus Arena, and it's around this time that, again, you hear who's up front, who would be leading this. Anyone specific?
Guessing me.
Sure. I would say Zadie. Anyone else sort of up front at this point?
Jundle might be behind Zadie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because again, I'm imagining this myself, but again, please do correct me if I'm wrong. That you're sort of relatively spread out across this pathway. It is maybe 20 feet or so wide, the thoroughfare, and enough for. Imagine if at one point when this valley was maybe busier, enough for 2 wagons to pass side by side. However, at this time, again, there's one kind of lone wagon track in the center that seems to be more of a groove that's existed here over a long period of time. However, Zadie and Trundle, closer to the front, you hear distantly the sound of just. At first, it's just kind of rustling, and it seems like a rolling breeze. But you hear the sound of rustling, and then the faint, and all of you who are nearish start to pick up one after the other. Rhea, Irina, Rain, and I imagine lingering maybe nearer the back, Gaza. You finally pick up on the sound like horses' hooves. Maybe the snapping of wood and the breaking of brush underfoot, as you hear from the north, through the woods. As again, the woods always retain a certain lingering curlingness, a curling low mist. It's faint. It just lingers. It helps to almost intensify the limited visuals of the woods. These mists that kind of curl near root of tree and don't really they're not malicious. It's not mist of the same nature as that which bounds this place, but it's still ominous in a way. And you see that thrown up from the north as you hear the sound of horses' hooves trundling forward, and shortly after, a figure in the woods riding a horse grand as you've seen before. Maybe, I don't know, horse hand sizes, but a large horse to say the least, a war horse of sorts, and a figure atop it, at a distance riding just through the woods. But it becomes more apparent as it gets closer that the horse is not quite a horse. It looks almost just like a bone structure, and the rider atop it, wearing rusted chain, a skeletal figure, holding out a lantern not lit anymore, a rusted window hanging loosely open as it rides, hand outstretched, just on top of the horse, barreling forward. It's a good still 40-50 feet away at this point, maybe even further, in the woodline as you see it coming forward, the horse's hooves making that sort of drawing your attention, and you all within range see this. Are any of you reacting to this as you see it ride? You don't. For you, you hear it, and then it's just, I'd say, on the cusp of your vision.
So I want to back up to everyone else, so that we're all in range, and cast Bless on everyone apart from me and Arena.
Okay, so you're casting.
So that'll be at second level.
I was gonna say for 4 people, that's second level.
Yeah.
So as you step back, you again cast Bless, and you all, those of you listed, aka all of you guys, besides Zadie, feel yourselves slightly instilled with magic as Zadie incants a few words and her magic sort of suffuses around you, as Arena sort of pulls up to the party, as you all start sort of gathering up. However, the horse seems intently riding along through the woods, sort of almost on a. It doesn't seem to have a collision path necessarily with you. Sort of riding.
Bushes and trees nearby.
Yeah, I mean,
I take cover in a bush nearby.
Yeah, I'm gonna hide in the bushes as well. That's
okay. Both go ahead. And
I like the sound of that.
Cool. Both go ahead and give me, or all three of you go ahead and give me stealth checks as you pull yourselves into the nearby undergrowth.
I'm going for hiding as well.
Sure. I'll say you're less able to hide having cast the spells. Sort of, it's like an actiony kind of turn. But if all of you, the rest of you,
I mean, that's the movement I'm making if I can't.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And unfortunately, Trundle, that is your first roll. Was the 8. You'd roll a
disadvantage anyways.
This is for stealth checks.
Yeah. I'm wearing
Oh
scale mail, man.
you're wearing scale. Yeah. Okay. Not great from the two of you, but Rare does.
And we get +4s from the.
You do have bless on you, so you can roll a d4 for both of you.
21 for me.
I'm not.
Sorry, and just to reiterate, we hear a horse that's not quite a horse coming to us.
You see a horse riding, but it's apparent as you see it riding through the tree line as it crests close enough that it's more visible. It's a horse, or it was a horse at some point, but it's a skeletal horse. It rides as heavily as a horse would. From your knowledge of riding horses, at least to some extent, and but it is skeletal. The rider on top of it, flesh and bone, flesh long gone, only bone remaining. Holding a lantern sort of out ahead. Despite the light, there is no light in the lantern. Despite the daylight, it still holds this lantern riding forward.
So, sorry, just for clarification, it's coming from the north, and the direction, as far as we're aware, it's going...
Seems to just be heading... yeah, it's hard to tell exactly, is it pretty fast? But it seems to be heading kind of... It doesn't seem to be necessarily in a collision course with you guys. It's sort of riding heavily, almost across, like, cross-secting the path that you're on right now. So yeah, it rides away. Again, Trundle, if you want to add a d4 to your stealth check as well, because it's an ability check, so you can add the d4 if you want.
Go on.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, it brings you to an 11 and an 11 and a 21. Again, with the blessed cast, Zadie's unable to move away, and I would say, Guzza, what are you doing as well? Music's too happy.
Yeah, I just.
Oh God! Don't say that.
I mean, it's too happy.
No, I know.
So Guzza, what are you doing?
Did we ever see Strahd on a horse or something similar?
You did. He rode in on a horse. However,
Really
the horse that he rode on
similar
was
fine.
was flesh and bone. However, more so, his horse was almost emitting fire from its hooves. Its eyes burned a sort of almost a golden red, glow, and it was even more domineering than this horse. Strahd's horse was jet black.
Shadowmere.
Well, the opposite
from Skyrim.
Yeah, quite similar to the Shadowmere from Skyrim for sure. The almost demonic-esque horse, that he rode in upon.
Cool.
But he 1 sec. I got another notification sound pop through because I've switched scenes, but I've stopped it now. But yeah, you. This is not that. This is a bone structure, a horse that is ridden in. It's physically. Oh, we've lost someone, which is messing all of the. There we go. He's back. It messes with all the visuals for a sec, but we're all good. It's going to be a spinning wheel.
Oh no!
You're going to be a spinning wheel, baby. Snake has a camera issue.
You spin me right round, baby, right round.
Oh yeah. If you can fix it, figure it out. But otherwise, we've got Ned Flanders for the rest of the. There we go. He's back. So yeah, you know that this is a different horse. The figure on top of it is obviously different. It seems to be a skeletal figure in rusty chain. The horse itself with some kind of chain barding, but you know, you can definitely see the bones protruding as its legs bound through the woodland, the woods. Effectively, are you doing anything specific?
Honestly, my thoughts are at this point is that he's either capable of finding us if we're hiding in the brush, or he's going to carry on passing if he doesn't care for us. So I'm just going to step out of the way, but make no attempt to hide, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, for you being at the sort of back of the group, you're able to sort of move up towards where everyone else is. But it seems, as you catch it, it seems to be you get not quite a side profile, but a decent kind of side-ish profile from your angle, as it is riding in front of where the group is or was, and as it sort of just bounds forward, it makes its way again to the path, again lantern out in hand ahead, riding, and it sort of reaches the path and slows itself down, kind of closest to where you are. Unfortunately, again, although Zadie, you kind of pulled yourself back away, not having had time to hide in this instance of having sort of chucked the spell out on everyone and then them sort of retreating away to limited success. It kind of pulls itself around and does almost like a rearing up as the horse stretches up, and you see its exposed rib cage, completely again fleshless, a hollow interior, and you can even see the kind of the rusted barding on the from the interior outwards. Where the flesh has once touched it, but has long since rotted away, and it's left a kind of an orangey tinge to the chain that hangs on the horse. But it rears up on the path, and then sort of slams back down and stops itself in the middle of the pathway. Again, I'd say around this time, you see as the horse or the horse rider with lantern out sort of looks across the pathway at the three of you, as Irina's sort of there, weapon clutched. She's pulled herself to one side, but not stealthed or anything, but hasn't drawn her rapier. And it sort of rears itself there, stops, and slowly starts making its way towards you. Just lantern still held out. The horse moving at a slow walk.
It's a single horse. It's two horses? Single horse, man, carrying anything in the cargo?
There doesn't appear to be any sort of bags or anything. He's simply holding a lantern, and as you see closer at slower motion, something clutched in its other hand. Not a weapon, like a piece of paper.
I'll approach.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And you step forward again. It's sort of moving. The skeletal face, its jaw slightly open, with a permanent sort of look of just, again as the skeletal, featureless, no eyes, no anything, just bone. But its hand almost seemingly bound to this lantern that it holds, an unlit, rusted lantern. But in its other hand, you see clutched into what looks like yellowed parchment, a letter. And
I'm going to follow Guzzler. I'm not going to let him go alone.
Mm-hmm. And you sort of make your way slowly towards it as it trots up and almost turns to one side, with the horse sort of facing, across the pathway again, and the rider holding out this lantern, almost unmoving, but with this paper in hand, just sort of its head twists towards you, down a fair bit below it, even at your reasonable stature, Guzzer, and its hand just slowly extends out towards you, holding this letter. As you see it held, a seal stamped on it.
Do I recognize the seal?
You've seen it before, or at least Zadie, you've seen it before. And I don't know if you shared the seal with the others. The only other time you've seen the seal is on a letter that you took from the Death House.
Yeah, I gave it to
written
someone.
by
you did share.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, you recognise the seal. It is
There's a windmill.
I think ironically it was Riktor, but
not a windmill actually.
Oh no.
A sort of bird-like wing stretching out with a monolithic sort of tower jutting out from the top. It's wax seal that it's made with, but it seals the letter shut, and inscribed on the front simply just says, "The new arrivals," in a rather clean font. As he just holds it out.
I guess I'm the closest to be able to take this. Surely.
You've moved up, and everyone else is
Cool.
sort of stepping away. Arena again is pulled off to one side. She seems hesitant to move towards it, but is is still lurking within, say, 30 feet, 20 feet of this.
I'll do it if you want.
If possible, and obviously Sean, you're welcome to interject, but if possible, I would have taken this letter as he rides it. But as he does so, I'm assuming the lantern that he holds in his hand is remaining stationary as currently.
Yeah, it's
Or
being
just
held up,
moving.
unmoving practically. The lantern again not lit, just
Oh, shit.
the glass doors are somewhat faded on it. But the front door of the lantern hangs open slightly. No light lit inside. It's just there, just held, seeming as almost like a lack of light to guide the way. But its head is turned.
It's not dark, is it, either? Because otherwise we'd be fucked. So
Correct.
that's fine.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I'll take the letter.
Cool. It's a bit hard to pull out as it's sort of almost wedged in its hand, but it just you pull it out. The fingers creak slightly, and after you take the letter, the figure just sort of, again, skeletal hand sort of draws back to the rotted reins that bind onto this horse and onto its barding, and it sort of pulls that up again with the lantern still held out ahead, and just with a snap of the wrist, creating a kind of a sickening bony crack. The horse again rears up near you and just starts riding off to the south through the woods. And you watch as it fades off into the distance through the swirling mists. The thin mists start to pull up as it drives through and brings with it a sort of an air current that pulls the mists up and sort of occludes its exit ever so slightly. And you hear as it sort of rides off into the distance through the tree line. And you're left with this letter in hand.
I mean, obviously I probably can't see the people that are hiding in the bushes, but I know they went that way. So projecting my voice that way, I'd be like, y'all can come out now. Whatever it is, it's gone now, and it's left this. To the new arrivals.
I step out.
I'll step out as well.
I was intending on stepping out as soon
What
as
the hell?
Guzzle went up, but yeah, I'm with everyone.
To the new arrivals.
I mean, I've got intelligence of 80, and I can read a fucking letter, I assume.
Yeah, you can read. Well, it's up to you how you want to portray your 8 intelligence. You could be like, I'm
Yeah.
normal intelligence but can't read, and that's what the -2 from an average person is. But no, I would say if you're treating it as like that is just below average intelligence, yeah, you can read. It's not your forte. You're not a grammatical master, but yeah, you're able to read.
Sure, I've butchered an apostrophe in the past, but I won't. No one's told me about it because they're kind folk.
Sure.
So I will, with that of a man that has an 8 intelligence, read this letter in a stuttered, somewhat means struggling with the slightly bigger words or the handwriting at some points.
So you crack through the seal and open up the letter, and again, parchment matching very similarly to the letter on the outside, in shade and in sort of quality. You unfurl a letter that's not too long. It is not, there's no address. This isn't, this is an older style letter where there's simply a letter, as it's been handed from person to person, and it just says, "You're cordially invited to dine with the Count tomorrow evening at Castle Ravenloft. You may bring yourselves, your friends. I would suggest you come together. You will not be harmed at this dinner. You'll be treated as guests, as you very much should be. I would like to talk." Yours ever so faithfully. And then a flowery signature. Count Strahd von Zarevich, ruler of these lands.
Can I hide out my hand, or are we past that time? Sorry.
Get out. You are reading this out, as you said.
Yeah.
So everyone is party to the information provided on this letter.
I mean, sod that, right?
It's a trap.
And just beneath it says, "I await your arrival." Or,
We'd be foolish. Except.
Foolish.
I don't even finish my
Suicidal,
sentence.
you mean?
I don't even finish my sentence. I just laugh. I just just openly mocking even the notion of it.
Perhaps some questions might be answered.
Yes, like how quickly can he kill us?
yeah, Arena.
I can answer that for you. You fucking hit me.
Yeah, Arena. Sort of when one of you says it's a trap, she just nods and says, "I cannot trust the words he says."
Zadie.
I'm still laughing. I won't stop laughing.
To the point where it's actually kind of creepy.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where it's a little weird, but I don't want to. I don't want to fill the air with just like me forcing laughter. I want someone else to like chime in, but for the purpose of this, he's still laughing. To the point where it's actually becoming a little disturbing, sickening.
Perhaps we have overstayed our welcome out here.
Now we stop. Yes. Perhaps we have. This is most amusing. No.
No.
Fuck no.
I ask again. Zadie?
Lady.
I mean, you don't have to.
What do you mean we don't have to? You don't have to either.
No, but my decision doesn't have to influence yours.
Fool and the head are easily parted.
So you'd go, would you? Alone? If it came to that?
I would, I think.
And accomplish what exactly?
I don't know. Asking some questions. Seeing if Riktor's there. If he's gonna kill us, he could have sent... Like, he just sent a dead horse with a rider to send us a letter. He knows where we are.
I don't think you understand. It's not about killing us, or the cruelty, a long, pain, drawn out.
He's playing with us.
Well, he
Like an
wins
animal.
either way then. We either run away knowing that he always knows where we are, or get straight there and see what we can do. Or I do. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't think it's as cut and dry as y'all think.
What time is it now? Is it getting towards
It's
being dark?
Four-ish? I don't know.
Well,
no,
no.
not even close. It's maybe
Still-
2:30. You've got at least another 3 hours, I'd say, of daylight.
How far away is Strahd's castle from here?
In terms of a journey, wait, what are you guys on? Are you guys on the? You
I know
guys
you
are
said
on the-
tomorrow evening.
On the
I'm asking.
thing,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. In terms of journey time, you're looking at on foot, and again, this is kind of slightly more mountainous area, so it's slightly slower, slightly uphill. Again, similar-ish from Vallaki to Krezik, maybe a little bit longer. So I would say 4 hours. In fact, from where you are right now, maybe a little bit less than that. I'll say 3 hours if you follow the roads from where you are right now. Again, you knowing the winding roads, you could cut through the woods at your own risk, and that would shave a bit of time off. But from Vallaki to the castle, gauging from what you know, 4 to 5 hours from where you are, 3.5 to 4 hours.
And we're probably what? You said we were 3 to 4 hours away from Kresik if we were in the city, in the center of.
Yeah.
We're probably not that much further away now, I'd assume. I mean, we're what? Probably a 15-minute ride away from the front gate.
I would say you're about an hour. You're about an hour's journey from the front gate of Vallaki.
Okay, so we're what, 4 to 5 hours away from Kresik, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how good guys are at maths. Harry's not great either, but this is sorry me just talking out, just so everyone else can hear my thoughts, just so I don't, just for the sake of talking. Time-wise, is there a possibility where we could make it towards Kresik and still get back in time? Still get back in time for Strahd's invitation tomorrow evening. It seems like we could have that.
So, knowing the time that it is now, to get back to Vallaki, you would be traveling during the dark to get to Kresik.
Mm-hmm.
You would then, in order to get back for the next evening and get a night's rest, you would maybe get, like, feasibly, to get there, to get to Kresik from where you are now, directly riding through Vallaki and carrying on, 5 hours. So it takes you to about 8 p.m, give or take.
Sure.
You would then need to rest for 8 hours at some point. So factoring that in, just straight away, that put you 4 a.m. So it would give you, and then the journey back, all the way back, be about 9 hours without stopping. 10 hours to the castle. So you'd be going, if say you left at 10 a.m. to get there for 8 p.m, you would have 6 hours in Kresik or around Kresik to do stuff, and that is assuming you get an 8-hour rest and are journeying otherwise non-stop, which would put a strain potentially on, survival, and that's assuming you're not. Yeah,
that's like 1,000 round of combat. That's awesome. I've got that. Sorry.
I can throw 1,000 combats at you if you like. It's
Don't do that.
Survival racy.
What I would say is you'd be journeying in the night, which is dangerous. You could totally do it. You don't know what the danger is. There may be no danger. But in reality, you would be hard pressed. You would be pushing yourself pretty heavily to do so. But you could do it.
Okay, all of this being in Gus's head and some sort of mumbling, because obviously math is hard, so you have to mumble to work out math. I'll then share the idea with the party and see what they think.
Wait,
So I know it ain't gonna be the east.
Still entertain the notion that we should go?
No, what I'm saying is right now we have the opportunity to get to Kresik.
I'm all for going the
Ain't nothing gonna change until tomorrow evening.
Traveling through the night's pretty dangerous.
Going to see himself is pretty dangerous.
Well, that's out of the question as far as I'm concerned. This reeks,
But that ain't happen until tomorrow night anyway.
reeks of death.
As do I.
And if, like Zadie says, he sees everything and knows where we are, then you would obviously heard the squabbles, the confrontation, how everyone seems to be at odds with each other. Another spanner in the work might not change, but it could change plans. Like,
Rain,
please.
the things in the night, the things that go bump, the things that scare us, is it him that controls them?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
I'm not entirely sure. It could be anything. I mean, some of these creatures act on their own, others have direct orders, I imagine.
He's given us an invitation. Surely he'd much rather see that come to fruition. Maybe he lets us a pass on this evening.
That's a gamble you want to take?
The gamble right now is what we're facing, is that tomorrow evening we are going to lose this one, and I point to Zadie. to him. She's going. I wish I could say I saw the no. Sorry, I wish I could see the look in her eyes, but I don't get that no more. All I see is the determination that she's showing right now. What I'm looking at is an opportunity to at least try and do something to, I don't know, change something. We sit on our hands for 24, 28 hours and before we go up to him. Is that what you suggest? I know Owen can pour a really good pint, but I don't think anything's going to change until then. Or you think we get a good night's rest and a meal nest before we fight him? We go fight him, we're dead. Right now, we're dead. At least we have
the bird people.
Wait, what?
They saw where Riktor got carried off to. They knew that the vampires were there and came and fought him. They'd know things.
Who?
The bird people.
You know, the bird people. Oh, wait!
What? What? But... What?
They turned up after you left.
I was running with a pile of bones. What? Bird people?
Yeah, the wow, me and Guz are okay.
You didn't think to mention this?
You between then, you've been arrested, ignoring me, fighting wolves, and here now.
I got drunk after being locked in the stocks for a day. But you had plenty of chance to tell me about bird people, said he. Why didn't we suggest talking to them before if they were there to the end of the fight and might have seen what happened?
You been hearing chirping since we've been around here? I don't know about you.
No, but I've seen plenty of birds around. Be worth asking.
Right,
Around as you say that as well, there's like a flutter of a couple of birds in the trees to the north.
Just spelling out no fucking chance from the line. You think we go start looking for bird people now as well?
What sort of birds?
Crows?
I can't turn into a bird person now. I haven't had the chance to study them yet.
Yeah, I would need to look into quite how your
No, I think I need more time. I need more time.
I think you're right. But from reference, because again, it's been a little while. Yeah, they were crow-esque people. They went from being crows or ravens. Again, someone's going to be like, technically one's the other and blackbird's something different entirely. Those things, whatever the fuck they are, turn from one of those, I'll say crow, into a, and this is like a slightly, maybe a slightly not spoilery thing, but a slightly more information than you'd perhaps have. But because of your close proximity with Trundle, a sort of, and because I guess in Guzza, your case, you are who you are, what you are.
Thanks, buddy.
It's a sort of a hybrid-y form. Someone who looked humanoid, but raven-like. Had a beak. They had the kind of beady-ish eyes, but there were definitely human features. Ears that looked more humanoid. Arms than hands and feet or legs that were more humanoid. Some feathers jutting out here and there, but not wings per se. Wings that kind of, or spaces between their arms, perhaps like a webbed finger. They would sort of had a slight, protrusion of feathers, but not. It's hard to say exactly what you saw, but they were bird people. That's what you can definitely identify them as, and they could transform. You saw them transform from bird to bird person. So that's your context of what they look like.
Well, I've seen crows on the roof of the church. Plenty of them. That was quite a thing to gloss over.
Go ahead and give me just a straight. I'll say this is gonna be like a wisdom check.
Just straight.
It's like a memory recall. It's like somewhere between insight, wisdom, and even maybe history. But it's not so much history because history is long term and study.
Yeah, sure.
So
Okay.
I'll say wisdom check.
I shall go for it with wisdom. Meh.
Yeah, the church, you do recall them being some of the church. You recall them being on quite a lot of the buildings in town. Not like a ton concentrated that you can really recall, but yeah, birds around town. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Sure. I just... Why don't we go and ask them? Do you think it'll help?
Where exactly do you think we start looking for bird people? They came out of nowhere.
Just walk through town. If we see some birds, we try and talk to them. I
What, we
don't
start squawking? Y'all speak bird?
know. No, speak Oren though.
They
It's
speak
it's a,
hard and what?
it's something some of the big magic birds talk. And I'll say a few words in primordial
Yeah,
Oren
it's
dialect.
quite guttural with quite a bit of hissing. Yeah, it's oddly deep, but because of the dialect, it's a dialect of primordial. Again, primordial is a single language. The dialects are offshoots where someone who can speak Oren would be able to understand Ignan, for example, the fire planes, and they are tied to the planes. And this just happens to be more wispy, gaspy, but still guttural in certain ways language. None of you, to my knowledge, speak any of those. Anyway, if you speak primordial or understand primordial, you can understand the dialects, but I don't think any of you do.
Just me.
Yeah.
I just speak celestial.
Just.
I don't know that one. Well, I mean, well, what is the plan? We do have to go back to Vallaki, even if it's just to get a good rest in before we decide what we're doing in the morning. If we're going on to Krezik, or if we're going on this suicide mission to Strahd's place.
I think if we rest tonight here, then we ain't got time to do both.
Well, then we need to decide on the best option then.
Arena sort of chimes in and says, "Whatever your course of action, I'm not going to that place. I want to return if I do, regardless of his intention with you. It's all about me, okay?
She's self-aware.
It would
No,
put you at such great danger just by going there, but it's too much.
We said we'd keep you away from him. Not going to go and deliver him to you.
She nods, says, "I can stay at the church, but this is unprecedented."
Sorry.
I worry for you.
I worry for them too. I step over to Irina's side quite obviously.
Yeah.
It'd be almost ridiculously foolish to even entertain the notion that he would be willing to remain passive.
She nods.
Sorry.
That might be the line, I'm sorry. So.
I might have to just mute myself.
That's a great line. Well, why do we have to go to Krezik right now? Can we not take some time to think about it? Think about whether we go to Strahd, which I'm definitely not for, but we can explore a few more leads in Vallaki. And
I only suggested Krezik because there's an abbey there. Spoke of the sun, the abbey. It's part of the Morning Lord. Most places are.
I mean, but if we if we go there with the intention of coming back and going to Strahd, how useful is anything we find there going to be if we run into trouble at Strahd's castle, which we almost certainly will do.
New information could mean anything.
It could mean anything. People of Krezik are interesting. Won't be forthright straight away, but I'm sure. Well, let's just say you lot appear to be rather inquisitive, and I'm sure one way or another you will find a way to get information out of someone. I lived a rather very life.
Oh, it lost. No.
Sorry.
Yeah. It could mean everything. It could mean nothing. Especially if we end up dying in Strahd's castle.
If you once again you assume his best intent, yet he's shown you no mercy. He's shown no one mercy. In fact, a fool willingly goes to their death. I have no intention of joining you if that's what you intend to do. I'm sorry, but I'm not stupid enough to go marching towards my demise. That much is certain. At least one of you won't be coming back.
Do you think going to Krezik might be something?
There's people there. The Abbey's there. My old homestead, probably there.
Y'all were happy to go looking for behind that sun when we were in that church. There's another church in Krezik, as so Rain says here. Maybe we find something there. Surely it's better than doing nothing but sitting on our hands for 24 hours. We can go looking for bird people, but I don't think we're gonna find them. If they was looking, or if they wanted to be found, they might have come seen us first. You talking about doing the wrong thing, Zadie, or not looking towards the goal? This here's something at least.
I'm not sure about the fortune teller.
But you're saying sitting on our hands for 24 hours is better than what I've suggested?
No, I'm saying actually finding information rather than going off some crazy lady's predictions.
You were so happy to look for it before. Why aren't you happy now?
Because we were there.
Well, we can be there in, say, 4 to 5 hours. Our DM ain't quite worked it out yet.
Because I wasn't thinking, like...
4 to 5 hours, depending on how you travel. You will be traveling through night.
No, I know.
Or through darkness.
That's what the mistake was getting distracted by stuff like that.
And I suppose this letter is another distraction, is it not?
I don't know.
That's exactly what it could be.
If he was listening right now, he'd be laughing at her. Of course he would be. It's almost a mockery of your own humanity.
You almost think you hear a faint chuckle. Almost.
Do you not wonder if maybe he's counting on the fact that you're hoping to find Riktor and help him? That's the bait of luring you there. He knows. I mean, we can all see how much this means to you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be standing here fighting constantly all day. And I don't want you to be hurt by what happens that you had no control over and consequences you could not really foresee. But I just don't want you to throw away your life when in the long term there is, I think, a better path to deal with this.
What path? Like, none of what we've come up with is a path to anything.
You were willing to give the chance of finding the sun or whatever was behind it. I'm asking you to do that one more time.
Only lead, and now we have a lead.
It is still our only lead. Right now we have got nothing to do for goddamn, what, 28 hours? 32 hours? My maths ain't what it used to be. But
And if a
all I'm
single
saying
thing
is that
happens in Kresik to delay us for like an hour,
I reach into my pocket and pull out my holy symbol of the morning, and I sort of push it. I hand it out on palm of my hand towards Zadie, and just say, "Where is your faith? Sometimes we have to take a chance. Take it. At least the Morning Lord is a symbol of hope for many places."
you want to stay here, you want to sit in that church for 24 hours, then you're welcome. But I'm walking to Kresik.
why?
You can come find my...
Why Kresik as opposed to any of the other things that we've been told about?
Because he been talking about something. He been talking that there's something there. We ain't
There
find
is
nothing
there.
out.
There's something everywhere. We've already been to one of the goddamn churches. Like, we could go anywhere.
Don't you be talking the God's name in vain.
We've already been
He's
to
still
one.
your lord. You talked about how you going alone out to that boy, that man's, whatever that being is, his castle tomorrow. You want to go now? Go now. He's giving off his invitation till tomorrow. So what you gonna do?
I
You gonna
haven't made my decision, but it is awful tact to go to Kresik. If anything happens, we lose this, and it ain't a decision anymore. And some people will be fine with that, but I haven't made it yet.
Ian, horse travel. That's something that would be faster than by foot, wouldn't it?
If you had a horse, correct.
Yeah, no, I'm asking.
Yeah. So, again, traveling at what I would
I
define
track
as
the
a
bone horse.
what,
No.
what I
That would be so.
oh, I find that funny. What I would suggest is that in terms of distance, you can travel about 2 miles on foot an hour. You might say, oh, but in real life you can travel faster than that. But that's usually on pavement or whatever, or
Not
things.
carrying a load of weapons.
Correct. Not
Yeah,
not lugging
armor
around a whole
stuff.
load of stuff.
How far away is this Serpool encampment from us right now, roughly in time?
About the same as the castle, so I'd say about 4 hours, 3.5 to 4 hours. Like in terms of literal distance, it's maybe slightly closer than the castle, but instead of going up the hills to the mountain, where the bridge is, between over the Ivlis River, where the falls are, so right near the Serpool encampment, you have to that bridge is about 1,000 foot overhead, and there's basically a winding path down right there to get down to the Serpool encampment at river level.
Sure.
So it's like that adds a lot of time that isn't visual on the map. So
Were there horses that we've seen currently in? It's Vallaki or Vallaki that we're in. From what we've seen, there's no stables. There's no.
There's definitely some. You've definitely seen some horses. Not many around, and the ones you've seen are. Well, I mean, horses would be rideable, but they look more like draft horses than the kind of riding horses or bigger kind of variants that you would expect in a way.
As a man of agriculture background, I mean, I don't know how much I can get away with this. There were horses at the Serpool encampment.
There were.
Is there anything there, or when I saw them, when I got very close to them at one point, if I recall, to suggest that they are mountable and would be of use to us?
Yeah, they would be mountable for sure. They largely had mounts on them.
Okay, then I'll air to the
owned.
I'll air to the party.
Mm-hmm.
The Serpool encampment. Madame Eva's there. Maybe we ask her a couple more questions. But there are horses there too. That's time we can save. You're talking about we might lose time. Well, I'm offering you right now a time we can save.
I just don't understand why you want to go to Kresik right now. Like, there's plenty we still need to do in Vallaki. We need to talk to the coffin maker. We need to find the bird people.
So you're saying we go do that right now?
I'm saying there are options and you're acting like there's not.
What I'm saying is that there's a chance for us to do more things here than just talk to and 2 options. I think there's more.
Again, Arena just pipes up, says there's also the mention of the.
This ain't about you, Arena. Sorry.
Never mind.
No, what do you say?
Fucking learn.
It's
I'm
also
kidding.
the
Sorry.
what?
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's the what?
There was the mention of the House of the Dragon, no?
There was a stone dragon, I think.
She nods and says, "Well, Soldar did mention that abandoned castle to the southwest of Vallaki, Argenvostolt." And she just shrugs.
She ain't gonna follow one of the fortune teller's suggestions. Why is she gonna follow that or even more?
No, it is. Is it not a problem of distance? She looks at you, Sadie. Or at least the problem of choice. I'm just saying there are other options. But we don't even know if it is, but we don't even know if we'll find anything beneath the sun in Krezek, but it is an option, just as Vallaki is. The only thing I don't see as an option for me is to the east of here. But
And I'm inclined.
I would agree. I feel going east is only more danger than it's worth. It'd be quite a shame if our story came to an end just there.
Is the,
but she does say, but Zadie is correct. There are things we could try and find in Vallaki. It is not. It is possible.
Is there
People
anything
can
in between us and Vallaki right now? Like any like other? Okay, I'm gonna start making my way towards Vallaki.
Mm-hmm.
If that is, we need to pass through there regardless. I'm gonna suggest. Well, at least let's make our way towards Vallaki. I mean, there's no point standing around the forest discussing this. Let's be on our way.
That seems appropriate. The longer we stay here, the worse.
Practically asking for trouble.
As I said, I feel perhaps we've already overstayed our welcome out here. If they know where we are, we might as well return somewhere safe. Just for now.
And as Rain starts to sort of make his way in that direction, slowly, waiting for others to follow or otherwise, as you start to journey off back towards Vallaki, there's a crack as the skies start to open and rain starts to fall.
Oh, can I help Rain up again? Sorry.
I knew that was coming.
As there is a downpour which drowns Gaza, and everyone else is fine. No, so as there's a downpour, and you start to make your way back to Vallaki, that is where we'll end the session. As your journey takes you back to Vallaki and possibly beyond. But that is where we'll end the session with a ton of RP, lots of decisions to be made. But this is when it comes to open world and differing decisions. This is good. This is good. It's good to see the lines of the thought process of characters. So yeah, thank you guys. Oh god, I've missed.
Happy birthday, boy.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
You don't sing.
Happy birthday.
I will mute you guys.
You'll mute us, but it'll be on stream. Congratulate
No, I
him.
can.
It's his birthday.
I'll mute on stream. Brew, for fuck's sake. Why would you gift stuff?
Whoa!
Whoa!
Why would you gift
Wow.
stuff? God damn it.
Wow!
Fuck you, Brew.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Holy Christ.
Well, I have to get to that in a sec.
Get to that.
Yeah. Again, I can see
29.
my fucking keyboard is going.
Whoa.
The keyboard's just flashing repeatedly whenever one of these goes through. It's gonna happen again. I can't tell if it's gonna happen.
That's
again.
a lot.
There you go. It's flashing a lot. It's doing different colours. But yeah, thank you, Bruce. Seriously. Seriously. I mean, you're my boy. But
You the man.
yeah, but yeah, we'll have to quickly go through You just gifted. Oh, for fuck's sake, and you just gifted one to you as well, Sophie.
Hey, wow, 30 subs. That is actually
That's insane for you to have gifted 30 subs over the course of this. I owe you a lot, dude. I really do. I'm gonna.
Thank you very much.
I'm gonna pay you back some. But yeah, I mean, it's a good session to return to. Lots of RP, lots of decisions, scraping off a bit of that rust for me, for the players, and getting back into the thought processes of characters that have been waiting to get back into the line of fire, into this for a little while. And yeah, curveball, bitches. There's your invite.
Yeah, dinner.
Dinner and a show where you all die.
There's no show.
I think
There's no show being mentioned. But no. Yeah, seriously. As always, because again, we don't want it to break the flow of our game. But there's now a few more subs to go through and things to people to thank. So I'm just gonna run down these quickly. Quite a few resubs as per the usual. So thank you guys. Obviously, first of all, thank you, Elliot. Right over there for 5 months of Prime, dude. Thank you, man. You know, okay. It does help. Honestly, it really does.
That's so good. I mean, I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you for having me all the time.
Man, I did I just replay something? I think I just replayed something. I don't know. No, I didn't. But thank you, man. Yeah, I mean, you know, I chose to invite you to this D&D game because I wanted to bring in people I thought were going to be really fun and enjoy and would gel the party well. And I think bringing in yourself and Sean was and Snake prior to that.
I think we're all regretting bringing him in today.
Yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, we're starting to hit the point where like, fuck these people, like low key. Fuck you. No, I'm kidding. But no, I yeah. Fuck the fact that I'm committed to playing.
Especially fuck you.
Yeah. But no, I mean, I again, I've said it many times before, but I chose to bring you guys into the game because I thought it would be a good decision, and I stand by that 100%, 110%, because you're enjoyable to run for, you're enjoyable to watch play. That's the most important part. Is that the fact I get to see you guys play and I get to enjoy it myself, and I'm just like
see the conflict, see the resolution.
What did I say?
Exactly. Anyway, a few more to run through, so I'll run through them relatively quickly. Teth for 4 months and has been here a fair bit longer than that. Thank you very much, and thank you for the happy birthday. I appreciate that. Again, 4 months is a little bit crazy. My thing is bugging out, but I know the next one is Emp because of the message that was there. 9 months, stream baby. That's what people say when you have 9 months, because it's baby stuff. So thank you for the 9 months, Emp. Emp. I've never ever pronounced Emp's name correct. It's Emp intended it to be Empire Rex, i.e. King, Empire King, but he fucked it up by making it MPRX. So yeah, Emp, thank you, dude. Brew, 7 months, and also for just gifting 6 fucking subs.
Huge shout out.
I love how two of them have been given to these guys around me. 2 have been given to Sky and Skin, who I haven't seen around for a little while. I haven't seen Sky for ages, but Sky was here a long time back, for a long period, and Skin is the like Slay the Spire speedrun mod. So thank you, Brew, for resubbing for 7 months. Who else? Freddy for 9 months of tier 3 sub. Which, for context, people...
It's literally like subbing 3 times, no?
It's like subbing 5 times. It's $25 a month. So thank you, Freddie, dude. I haven't seen you around for a long time. I know he's probably not here right now, but I have to thank him separately on Discord. Seriously, that's kind of crazy that he's still doing tier 3. And then Brew for gifting subs to Xenomraptor16, to Snake, to New Lexicon. It's a cool name. Sky, Skin Singe, and Sophie, Looney Lacuna. So thank you, truly, Brew. I owe you a crazy debt of gratitude, and that is why you're my top mod, my editor supreme, technically.
Do you think Brew should be allowed to give a hero point to someone?
Yeah, fuck it. There you go, Brew. You've paid enough that you can designate. that you can
Turns
designate.
out you can
You've-
buy your
you-
way into the hero points.
You've bought your way into being able to give a hero point to any one of these people of your choice, and you can't say all of them because they're adorable, because they
Capitalism,
are.
might as well.
They are adorable, but that's not how this works. You can give a hero point to the person of your choice, and the rest of them will hate you forever. So make your choice wisely. But thank you sincerely. There's
I'm really good at shouting.
yeah.
Hasn't Brew gifted a few subs to people in
Gifted
like our players?
Yeah, they've gone to Snake.
Throughout quite a few months.
Gone
A few
to
people
Snake
have,
and Sophie right here.
Yeah.
Super cool.
But yeah, I mean it's
Just
beyond
doing the
kind.
Morning Lord's work.
Yeah, and then a few follows as well. Hero point to the next fight encounter, the party encounters. Get fucked. Thank you, Brew. So
Well,
yeah.
Well done.
now they
You
specifically hate you. So I've got
That is funny.
there's a few follows. There's Wazapa PL, probably Polish. Thank you very much for the follow earlier today. And then during the stream there was which is a follow. So thank you. PK Lost.
Shout out to
Yeah, PK Lost I saw come in briefly in chat again, and Toneless Hydra. Thank you guys for the follows. And Xenomaptor as well followed just before getting gifted a sub. So lucky. That was perfect timing, because I think you needed to be followed to be gifted a sub. I think so. Kudos. Your timing is really good for being gifted a sub and having a mango emote for at least a month. But yeah, thank you for all the follows. Again, for those of you who've just followed, if you're still here, we generally try not to do any of the chatting with chat or looking at follows or subs until after the stream or at this point, because we don't want to break from the game. We want to stay focused on the game and not be distracted from it, as much as we do appreciate the support. So Brew, I owe you a debt of gratitude, and yeah, if you must make someone hate you, you can at least make all of them hate you as a team. So there you go. That's a way to get the team to gel together.
Brew is gonna be the count, isn't he?
Yeah, it's
At the end.
It's Count
Count
Strahd.
von
Von Brurovich. But no, thank you guys. We're gonna go detox and have a little chat and catch up as well, because we haven't been able to catch up much over the Christmas period because we've all been busy and away. And it's getting late-ish here as well. So we'll bid you all adieu. Thank you for watching, as always. Thank you, my players. You guys make this easy as always. Even when it's like character anger
Happy
beatdowns, it's fantastic. And that's where I need them. No. I've muted you on stream, so you guys are assholes. You're muted on stream. Yeah. And there you go. That's how loud they are. I will see you guys around. Ignore them. You can't hear them. It's fine. It's fine. You can't hear them. You guys are muted. And I will see you guys on Thursday. And we will see you next Tuesday, I think. Unless we decide otherwise. So peace out, guys. And have a good rest of your week.